Yeah, Omnom from Cut the Ropes bisexuality is news to me as well, I think. Actually, I think I have the vaguest memory of like it was like the official Twitter account of Cut the Rope posted like a bisexual pride thing with Omnom in it. It was like, does this mean Omnom is bisexual? I think it was something like that, right? I couldn't not show this art. It's like kind of a shit post, but it's just an insane image. So thank you to Dark Radum who made this. This was made because I said I don't like Omnom, and like it's not a huge deal or anything, but I do not like Omnom. He's presumptuous. He's a greedy, lazy little fuck. He sucks. Who's your favorite bisexual character? Oh boy, I don't know. I don't have like a list in my head of like bisexual characters. Jeremy from Peep Show. It's like one of the worst human beings in fiction. It's like one of the worst possible answers you could give for that. Morpheus from The Matrix? Morpheus is bisexual. Is that real? It is Pride Month right now. Alphys Undertale was... See, the thing is with bisexuality, it's so hard to confirm that someone is bisexual specifically in a work unless we see two of their relationships, right? Like, and they happen to be on other sides of the like fence, so to speak. You're just mad that he gets more treats and snacks than you. You know, we're in the No DMCA Please playlist. I can just keep the music playing. By the way, I posted a link to it last time, and people were like, it's not the full playlist. I did an oopsie. The playlist was private, so it didn't show as a playlist. But that old link should work now, I think. Alphys has a crush on Asgore. I don't know. When does that happen? Is that like right at the very end of the game? I don't remember that at all. I played Undertale like 3 or 4 times at this point. Dio, it's a cool bisexual. I feel like I could totally accept Dio as a bi character, even though we never see him in any relationship. He kisses Irina, but it's more of a like making Jonathan jealous thing. God, what a gay series. You don't really think about it too much while you're watching it, but God, that is a gay series. It's in Mettaton's quiz. Okay. I see. You can select Asgore or Undyne during the Mettaton quiz, and both are correct. Oh. I've never selected Asgore. That's such an obscure... Yeah, okay. I don't feel bad about not knowing that. That's such... Oh, you guys. Of course you guys know this. Yeah, he has children, but the thing is, Dio, he doesn't seem like a lover. It seems like he fucks. People are saying Usagi, and I'm sorry, but who even is Usagi? I don't know who that is. Off the top of my head. It might be from something I've seen, but I don't... who is Usagi? Oh, from part 9! Right, yeah, he was confirmed by... Yeah... Sorry, part 9 really hasn't manifested itself in my brain too much. I haven't been reading it. But I did hear that Usagi was confirmed bisexual, which is crazy because Araki normally doesn't do that. Normally doesn't like confirm sexualities at all, or if he confirms someone is gay, he gives them a horrific death, which means Usagi's gonna be fine. Anyway, let's get into the spreadsheet. Holy shit, right off the tail of Mina, we're getting some Shovel Knight music. This is not a very long playlist. It's 53 songs, and like half of it is Danganronpa, and half of it is Planet Dob. It's It's not half, but whatever. God, chiptunes always like feel louder, don't they? Even when they're not like actually, like I'm looking at like the waveforms, and it's like they just cut through the silence more. It's a weird effect. It's a very direct audio. Okay. Get the spreadsheet up. Shtabam. Yeah, sharp music. It cuts. It's like maybe not the best background music. Maybe I just have it loud in my ears. But we're doing some casual reviews. We're just gonna sit here. I don't have webcam, by the way. It's hot and I don't want to wear a shirt. And also I just didn't want to. But you guys can have him. He's actually, I wish he was going a little bit faster for the song, but you know, what can you do? Maybe we can like hide the little like analyze with AI. Like what the fuck is that? Can that go away? I can get rid of that. I hate that. Whenever I see that, I've become trained to dislike the little like AI star, which is a shame because that's like a design element that's been used in a million billion things, and now it's a symbol of AI. Ugh. I love that. You guys love how like when you open Gmail now, it's like, here's your inbox and here's your AI inbox, and it's like I've never clicked on AI inbox, but it's like, why would I click on? You could go to your inbox or the Hitler hell inbox. It's okay, thanks. They're all assholes. No, that's what's like the place, the school and community. Their symbol really was an asshole. Anyway. Oh god, we're on Pokemon Black version. What a silly one to start off with, because this is a game that I played like 10 years ago and then like played very briefly very recently. I don't know, you guys know I don't like Pokemon very much. I always, like, judging a Pokemon game's quality is kind of, like, hard for me because I just don't really feel like I vibe with these types of games. I have done... It's a review a decade in the making. Yep, I've been thinking real hard about Pokemon the whole time. It's funny because I feel like I've spent half my life playing Pokemon, but I'm, like, really relatively quite a novice at the series. I've only played Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 5... and I like watched the anime. I've played Pokemon Snap a couple times. I've played a bunch of Pokemon Puzzle League. God, it feels like there should be at least one other, but I'm like, I feel like I've absorbed a lot of Pokemon in my brain, but I still have barely scratched the surface. How many mainline Pokemon generations are there at this point? Like, what's the number that we're on? I know that 9, there's 14? 12? Nobody knows. Okay, we've lost track. That's how many there are. There's like a million different answers. 9, 14, 12, coming up on 10, 1. Okay, that's a joke. It is 9. It seems like the most popular answer is 9. That's fucking mental. That's insane. And like a million spin-offs. It's not hard. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody said it's not hard. Sorry, let me pull up the Pokemon lineage. Let's just pull that up. Oh yeah, there's nothing complicated or it's weird about this. Very normal series with a very normal main line that is super easily determinable and rememberable. It's a very big series, and when people talk about like quality between the Pokemon games and go like, oh, this game is like, this gen is like way better than this other gen, and I'm kind of like, they're all fucking like kind of bad. I don't know. It's just my opinion, but like I'm just kind of like, these have even like I've played a lot of the like I feel like Gen 5 is one of the ones that people like glaze the most, and even this one, it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, it was like something to do in junior high school or in like high school. Like, I don't know, it didn't really leave much of an impression on me. I like the village where the guys sing where there's the beatboxing guy, and the guy sings, but it's like, Pokemon games, I just think, like, all the dialogue is so bad and so inane, and there's so much of it, and so much of these games is reading such terrible dialogue that just, I mean, my eyes glaze over. People talk about, like, oh, like, people don't retain information from Pokemon stories, and it's like, yeah, they're boring! They're really boring and bad! I can't, and of course, I'm just speaking to the ones that I've played, but, like, yeah, they suck! The stories are terrible! The villains, oh, man. I remember disliking the villain in Pokemon Black, and just thinking the whole thing just seemed like a farce. I think, you know, let's be a little kind. The music and the designs of the creatures, like, that's what I think a lot of people are there for, and that is enjoyable. It's great music throughout the series. I think that's the one thing that I can't, like, you know, knock it for. You played the one that has arguably the best story. Like, okay, but again, it's like apples to, like, moldy apples. It's like, it's not even apples to oranges. It's like, okay, well, you know, it's still just a fucking apple. There's nothing about Pokemon games that really wows me, especially as someone who just, I don't really get into, like, I don't know, it's funny though, because I like collect them. Like, I collect the Pokemon. That's, like, the thing that I find to be enjoyable, and that's how I engaged with this game. But, like, the whole, like, all the battling, I don't know, is guys, can people, like, can you guys give it to me, like, real? And I may very well, I mean, be brutal here. If Pokemon combat is secretly awesome, then tell me. But is Pokemon combat, like, actually good? Or do Pokemon players just kind of, like, put up with it? Because I know a lot of people battle Pokemon and, like, do the battles a lot, but it always just felt like really, like, boring and shallow in terms of, like, RPG combat. Like, are they good RPGs? People who are fans of RPGs? I know competitive Pokemon's huge, but, like, competitive Pokemon is good, PvP Pokemon is good. Oh, hell, this is, like, the perfect song for this Doom gif. PvE is meh, actual PvP is good. I could believe that. I want to fuck the Lopunny? Not really what I was asking, but thanks. Appreciate your input. Singles is really boring. I'm seeing some people say doubles is good. Doubles was, like, introduced in Gen 5, right? I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know anything. Pokemon, not really my thing. I mean, how many? I must have had over 100 hours in this game, if not, like, 200 or 300. Didn't it say on my profile? Gen 3 was doubles. Okay, well, blow me up. I'm getting into the canon. I'm launching into the sunset. Pokemon, not really my thing. Played a ton of Black version. I caught them all, besides event legendaries, which I could, you know, nobody on the planet is going to defend the existence of event legendaries, so I don't even need to, like, say they're bad, but they're bad. Triples was introduced in Gen 5, and rotation battles, right? I remember that. People kind of shit-talk the... I remember at the time that this game came out, people shit-talked the sprites, the way the, like, sprites moved around, and I think I was a hater, but now it's like I look at some of the animation in, like, the more modern 3D modeled Pokemon games, and I go, oh man, those black and white sprites look pretty good now. But maybe they just always were good. I don't know, they're very, like, aliased and, like, tweeny. They look very weird, but there's a charm to them. But the 3D Pokemon games just look like such a train wreck. I'm so glad I don't, like, feel obligated to play new ones. Although, you know, I have a lot of this nostalgia for Pokemon like Scarlet and Violet, like watching Bella play that. Those games looked terrible, but they did have... They were distinct. They had a vibe, despite being just god awful, looking just so bad. There's a weird charm to them. I really liked, just thinking back on my time playing Pokemon Black version as a teenager, I remember being like, my favorite moment in the game was the reveal. I did not know this. I'm sure like every Pokemon fan knew this when playing this game, but I wasn't really a huge Pokemon fan, so I just didn't know. The whole game I was playing it and I was like, where's fucking Jigglypuff and shit, man? Like, where's all the old Pokemon? This is bullshit. And then it's like, when you beat the game, there's like a thing that happens where all the old Pokemon like swarm the world, and it's like, they're everywhere now. And I was like, oh! It was awesome. That reveal blew my mind. I was like, they're fucking everywhere. And I think that's what like lit the fire underneath me that was like, now I need to catch them all, you know. And I spent so much time in like GTS trade in Pokemon Black version 2. It was the invasive species event, yeah. So I do remember, like, this game did bring me joy. I'm not trying to like shit on it. At the end of the day, it's like a 6, I think, for me. Pokemon games just kind of like make me feel numb inside. Like, they just don't do a lot for me. But 6 with a period, a very terse 6. Plus. Somebody said plus OST Pog, and now everybody's spamming the word plus. So, no, wouldn't personally recommend. I don't know, maybe if you're a big Pokemon fan and you're looking to get into the retro titles, I guess I've heard this is one of the better ones. I feel like people love Gen 3. It's like 3 and 5 are the ones that people really love. Is 4 bad? As long as we're here talking Pokemon, is Gen 4 like bad, or is it just like okay? Like I'm gonna get a concise opinion. It's plus. It's the reverse of slop. That's crazy. Phonokinetics. Lovely. Oh. Keeley. What is the guy's name? I keep thinking Jeff Keighley, but it's not. Jeff Fallen. I was like, Keighley? Jeff Keighley? The guy who made the music for Pluck? Jeff Keighley? Oh, it was bad. 4 is not good. Gen 4 has good 5. Oh, man. Yeah, we did not get a concise opinion. Let's just read some of them out. People will say yes, but no. I don't remember how I phrased the question, but, you know. 4 is considered good, albeit slow. 4 good, but slow. I love 4, but it is okay. Okay, kind of a consensus here. 4 is kind of sloggy. Gens 3, 4, and 5 are peak. 4 sucks balls. Gen 4 is awesome. Readers added context. OP played Gen 4 when she was a kid. 4 is good. Sinnoh is a rotten game, and I started with it. Sinnoh being Gen 4. Guys, I don't remember. That's one thing that I am totally lost when people go like Johto, Kanto, Sinnoh, etc. I don't have the associations of which gens are which regions. 4 is not good. People have nostalgia for it. Gen 4's remakes of Gen 2 is considered one of the best. Crazy. I love the for this. It sucks balls. I'm so juvenile. Okay. Anyway. Which one is the gen that had too much water? Was that Gen 3, I think? Or was it Gen 4? I think I've heard people even say, like, too much water is actually a valid criticism. Anyway. Yeah, 4, unlucky number. Unlucky number in Japanese culture, so maybe it was fated to be. That's why Apollo Justice sucks ass too. Oh, what did I give Apollo Justice? It doesn't suck ass. It's considerably worse than the main trilogy, though, man. An 8. Okay. Anyway. Okay, second game of the day. God, we're going fast. Anyway. Let's get out of Pokemon hell. Animal Crossing, only a slightly higher level of hell. No, I've never really engaged with Animal Crossing too much. I've played a tiny bit of the GameCube one with Bella, and I've played a tiny bit of this one on my own, Wild World. It is not really my type of game. I do see the appeal. I understand the appeal. I nod and smile and grin. Love the music and like the cozy vibes, but it doesn't really compel me gameplay wise. I know it's the kind of game that you're supposed to like come back to for like an hour every day instead of binge playing it, but I'm very much a binge player. I'm not really a I'm not really the type of guy that, I mean, I guess I've been doing with Tomodachi Life, but I don't know. My heart's really not been in it in Tomodachi Life, although I have been adding characters. Oh boy, I want to spoil what characters we've added to the island, but it's going to be so good if I just hold off entirely and you guys see like all 20 of them the next time we play that game on stream. Because there's got to be some kind of update, right? And you guys are going to see our fucked up... Oh, this is the Scruffy... This is such a cool song. It's a Metroid and Portal arrangement. It's like Metroid music with Portal instruments. And I think it maybe like does the reverse at a certain point too. Scruffy's so cool. I am going to be tangentially involved in a project with Scruffy in it at some point soon. Little teaser, by the way. I'm not worthy. I'm not like collabing with Scruffy or anything, but I am doing something that is tangentially related. I fucking love Scruffy, by the way. His channel is so good. Scruffy like puts, he's one of those YouTubers that you watch, and as a YouTuber, I'm like, I should quit my job. Like, his videos are so good that it just like puts everyone else to shame. I'm like, what the it's the kind of like great content that makes you go, what the fuck am I fucking doing with my life? You know? Like, Scruffy is real as fuck. Anyway. Yeah, be inspired for Zapper Part 2. I am working on Zapper Part 2, slowly but surely at this point. There was a long period of time where I just didn't work on it. It's been a long time. But I bought the Konami laser scope, and I'm going to incorporate that into the video. So it's a good thing I put it off, because I found a nice, good condition laser scope for a decent price. Anyway, oh boy, I got sidetracked. Animal Crossing. It's fine. It's another one that's not really my type of game. I can appreciate the things that this series does. I think I really admire the GameCube game in particular. It's so ahead of its time, and that shit was on the N64 in Japan. So utterly ahead of its time, like actually a pioneer of like a genre that has kind of dominated the world now. And it's like Nintendo was so ahead of the curve, not just on the general concept of cozy, village management games, but the specifics of like the little things that keep you coming back every day. They're really good at that. And even though it didn't necessarily get its hooks in me, I can totally feel, I see the hooks. I see the fucking hooks. I'm just like Mr. Krabs dodging the hooks. But it's not really my type of thing, but I can appreciate this series for what it is. I want to give this like a 7, honestly. Yeah, GameCube Animal Crossing is a crazy fucking game. I'll give this a 7. Just, again, the numbers don't matter much. I'm just going with what my instincts tell me. It's a perfectly inoffensive game, but it just didn't really, like, I played it for a while and I just kind of dropped it before really accomplishing anything. Like, I never approached any level of completion. I think I paid off the first house loan or something, and I was like, there's more loans, and then stopped. So, wouldn't personally recommend, but like, I don't know. Everybody, I feel like sometimes when it's like, oh, do I or don't I recommend Animal Crossing, and it's like, if you like it, you've probably already played it, and you probably already know it's a very popular series. When is he going to realize? When am I going to realize what? What do you? The song that the song is ramping. What am I realizing? Everybody wants to stop when they see more loans. Not in Animal Crossing. I see. Yeah. Oh, the numbers. Oh, the thing that I thought frame 1 before any of you did. and felt nothing and discarded instantly. Yeah, I did notice that, yeah. Tato, one of my editors, was asking for the 6th and 7th VODs of the Mina the Hollower series. And I was like, I very soberly posted the Google Drive links. I was like, here are the 6th and 7th VODs as you requested, Tato. This is no laughing matter. Anyway, I thought I like fucked something up. I thought my mic was muted or something. Okay, so Animal Crossing Wild World, I don't know. It was cozy. Love the music. I know it's a cliche, but I love the vibes, but didn't get its meat hooks in me, as they say. They don't say that. Okay, Mighty Final Fight. I gave this game a lot of shit when I just had seen the, like, box art for it, and it does have disgusting box art. I think, you know, I only played it a little bit. We're reaching an ocean of quick look NES games here, and a lot of these, when I say quick look, it usually means I booted up the game and played it for like half an hour and then stopped. You know, depending on the game, with variants, of course, but Mighty Final Fight, I played a couple stages, and then I was like, okay. It's kind of, I don't know, Capcom had this weird era of, like, we're gonna make, like, cute chibi versions of a bunch of our games. And I personally have always kind of felt like, if you take something cute and make, like, a little chibi out of it, then it becomes cuter. But when you take something like Hagar from Final Fight and make it chibi proportions, it just looks uncanny and weird and horrible. Like, there's something about that that's just so shitty. It just looks so bad, and it's like, thinking about, like, Puzzle Fighter, where they did the same thing with, like, Street Fighter and Darkstalkers characters. Some of them it looks kinda okay, a lot of them it looks fucking dog shit. I don't know, there's something about the, like, taking something that doesn't have cutesy proportions and giving it cutesy proportions. Depending on its, like, features, I just think it's just such an awful visual style. It just sucks. It's just, like, a clash. I've always felt the same way, on Salty Bet whenever we see, like, a chibi Gundam. And I'm like, Gundams... I don't think Gundams are made to look cute, and making them, like, short and stubby doesn't, like, suddenly make them cute. Yeah, that's why the phrase, like, mega super deformed is something that gets tossed around sometimes with, like, chibi designs, and that's what Capcom referred to chibi designs sometimes as, is, like, super deformed. But, I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. The chibi Gundams, they just don't work for me, and if they work for you, great. But it's a weird thing for me, and Mighty Final Fight has the same thing, where I'm like, yeah, I didn't really want, like, Damned to be a cutesy, stubby baby character. Like, that's just odd to me. But the gameplay was fun, good graphics, good music. I think overall, it's an inoffensive port of Final Fight to the NES, from what I could tell. There was that weird bit, something that sticks out to me in this game is when Damned, like, asks me trivia questions, and, like, by responding to them, I think correctly, it damages his health bar before the boss fight with him. That was just a memorable moment for me that's not in the original game, and I'm assuming there's probably other weird subversive things like that throughout the game. Maybe that's just the only one, though, I don't know. But it was, playing it was fine, it felt fine. I think Final Fight is one of the better, like, classic beat-em-ups, for sure, and this is a worthy NES version. It's just got the super deformed art style that, like, I don't really gel with. It's uglier the more detailed it is, so doing it with tiny little NES sprites works better than it does on, like, the box art. Anyway. Yeah, they are... Somebody said, chibi designs elicit pity from me, such as dogs with fucked up faces. Yeah, In the same kind of way as like a fucked up pug, I feel the exact same way. I'm kind of like, what did they do to you? But I don't know. I mean, it's... At the end of the day, it is like a pretty cool port of one of the better classic beat-em-ups to the NES. It's really not a bad game. I just didn't play much of it because I've already played Final Fight. I can't really think of much reason to play it, is the one thing. Like, just play Final Fight, it's better. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the quirky, subversive stuff continues. Who knows? I'm gonna give this one a 7 as well. It's honestly, it's not a bad, it's probably a pretty high tier NES game, all things considered. But I don't think I'd recommend it. Do you play the same kinds of games on stream as you do in your free time? Maybe that's an odd question. It kind of is, just because most of my gaming I do on stream. I game off stream a little bit, and it's usually like something like I play Mina the Hollower on stream, and then off stream I'll like go to an area and 100% it off stream if I'm just like bored or whatever. So yes, the kinds of games that I play off stream are the kinds of games that I play on stream, but also I kind of get what you're getting at. I probably wouldn't have played Mighty Final Fight if I wasn't a streamer. I do get a lot of joy out of playing weird shit in front of an audience, definitely. And I used to play, like, I mean, before I streamed, I bought like a bunch of shitty NES games and played them, for sure. But I think I engage with games that I would be less likely to engage with off stream because I am a streamer. I think that does affect kind of my sensibilities. But the stuff that I'm interested in here is stuff that I have been interested in before I was a streamer and did play off stream. So I don't know. I do think being a streamer has affected the way I play video games a bit. But I don't, it's, I guess another big thing is like off stream I play like visual novels and shit, just stuff that would be difficult to stream. But I mean, look at me, we're playing Layton versus Wright on stream, so clearly clearly I have only a certain amount of compunctions about this. Anyway, the exhibitionist thrill of playing Daydreamin' Davy on stream. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked up Daydreamin' Davy or tried to experience as much of it if I wasn't making the Zapper video. Anyway, Kicks. I choose to pronounce this Kicks. I feel like when you see a Q without a U, it tends to take on like a K sound, but I don't know if that's actually a rule. I don't know. Calling it Quicks just seems weird. But Kicks is like the cereal, but I don't know. Sometimes when you say a word that's difficult to interpret how to pronounce and it sounds like a fucking breakfast food, everyone just loses their minds. So, not that I have any baggage about that or anything. Yeah, quiche. Quiche has a U in it, I guess. Whatever. I'll call it Kicks for now. Kicks is a very arcadey style game. The closest point of comparison I would have for this game is a Neopets game called Web of Vernax, which I don't expect people to know. But I'm sure there's a bunch of different variations on this type of game. I feel like I've seen it around. It's like you're on the you're on the border of an enormous rectangle, and you are a little like cursor, and you have to like carve out chunks of the space in the center of the rectangle while avoiding an enemy that bounces around inside the rectangle. And my biggest, it's a cool, the game looks cool. I think the thing that is bouncing around, I call it like the monster, I guess, but I think that thing is named Kicks. Maybe, like that's the Kicks? I don't know, maybe. Headcanon, possibly. But the thing that there's a crucial feature of this game that just is broken to me, and that's that the Kicks doesn't have any enemy AI. It just moves totally randomly. And so that means it's kind of like the whole deal with this game is like the bigger a chunk of the screen you cut off at once, the higher your score is. And you're trying to get a high score. It's arcade style. But there's this whole risk-reward thing where it's like, oh, you take a big, risky stroke and you stroke Lamau. And there's a chance that the kicks might come over and like hit you, basically. But your maneuverability and your evasiveness you're so slow that it's basically just the bigger a risk you're taking, the bigger a random chance that the kicks just decides to come over and kill you is. It's like if there was, and it's like I don't want it to be. See, somebody's saying I'm pretty sure it bounces around DVD screensaver style. I don't think it does. Like, if you look at it, I don't think it does. It just changes directions randomly, as far as I can tell. If there's a rule about it, then my criticism becomes that it is too difficult to determine the rule, and it effectively just feels random. Because it just felt like, oh, the bigger a risk you take, the bigger a literal just dice roll of a chance you're gonna have of getting murked by the kicks. Like, it might just come over there. So, and it's like, I also wouldn't want it to have totally predictable behavior, obviously, because then that would just make it a total cakewalk, you know, but, there's gotta be some middle ground between total chaos. Bro can't discern the rule, I can't. Ban that guy. Yeah, I can't discern the rule. I can't figure it out. I guess it's just there must be a balance of like randomness and rules, but this one is just pure randomness, and that's just not compelling to me. So I was pretty disappointed because I was like looking at this game, I was like, oh, that seems like an interesting, unique, compelling idea. But the random bouncing is just like, bruh, I'm going back to Web of Vernax with this shit. Web of Vernax is better. Okay, so no, definitely wouldn't recommend it, and it was a pretty big disappointment. The coolest thing about this game, I would say, is just that the kicks, the animation of it bouncing around looks cool. And that's really the only enjoyment I get out of it. It's really quite disappointing. Like, the gameplay loop is like a tiny bit compelling for a second before you realize it's totally random, and then that just like kills it, for me at least. Yeah, well, the thing is, you can do tiny little squares, but then you're just gonna get a terrible score. And it's like, well, what's the point of the game if I'm just gonna be like playing it super safe? The way to get a big score is to have a huge risk reward. And it's just kind of like, it's just like an inverse proportion of like, you're likely to die. I don't know. Something about it just didn't click for me. And I'll play, I kind of want to check out the arcade version too, because I'm sure the arcade version is probably better than the NES version in some capacity. Maybe it has actual like AI to the kicks, who knows. Okay, I am a teacher, Super Mario No Sweater. This is Japanese text being displayed on a Famicom ROM that didn't do anything, and like cutouts of sweaters. It was nothing. This was not a video game. Tiny squares that lead into a huge square. I guess I don't really know what you mean by that. Maybe I just suck at kicks. It's entirely possible. Anyway. I am a teacher, Super Mario No Sweater. There truly was no sweater. NA out of 10. Cobra Triangle. This is a very unique case, because this is a game that I think nearly in its entirety is featured in the Game Boy Advance port of Donkey Kong Country 3, which I know I always go on and on about the Game Boy Advance port of Donkey Kong Country 3. It's a really notable port. It has many memorable qualities, and one of them is that they ported in a side mode that is just a remake of Cobra Triangle with Donkey Kong characters, basically. And yes, it has Lanky Kong and Chunky Kong, which is awesome. But going back and playing the original, I remember really hating those boat levels. It's a boat speed racing game where you like there's like a bunch of different little game modes. Sometimes you're racing other boats. Sometimes you're doing combat with other boats. Sometimes you're like disarming mines. Sometimes you're defending. Sometimes you're defending like people who are swimming in the water. It is a very frustrating and fiddly game. But I am basing this off of the Donkey Kong Country 3 version. But when I went back and played the NES version, I did think to myself, this feels exactly as annoying and frustrating as it did in Donkey Kong Country 3 GBA. So I may be kind of basing this more on my experiences with that minigame as a kid and maybe treating it unfairly, so sorry, but Cobra Triangle, it's kind of a typical like middle of the road rare coin it game where interesting visual effects, good music, the graphics and like the rotational sprites and all that is very well done, the sort of fake 3D perspective, but I really kind of think this, and we're going to talk about it later, RC Pro-Am, racing games like this, top-down racing games, really suffer from being 2D, and like, I don't know, I need that like behind the car, behind the boat perspective, because I just hate the tiny amount of reaction time that you are given to react to new information coming in off the side of the screen, as opposed to a 3D game, you know, something similar, maybe like Wave Race, that just does it effortlessly, you know, where it's like, oh my god, I can fucking see where I'm going. Whereas Cobra Triangle, it's just like, oh my god, there's so little screen real estate available to like show what's about to come hurtling at you very quickly. So it just kind of leads to frustration. The controls are good, it feels good, there's like cool game feel of like feeling your boat sort of skipping across the surface of the water when you go really fast and stuff like that, but at its core I think this is a very annoying game. Let's see here, what do we like give it? I also spent like half the time playing this. I played this game very briefly on stream, and about half of that I was muted and talking to Bella about wedding planning, so if memory serves. So again, sorry if I'm being unfair to Cobra Triangle, but I do, like, it's a fine game, it's like inoffensive, maybe like a 3.5. But it's just very, I mean, I say inoffensive and then give it a 3.5, it is very irritating to play, I find. And sort of not super compelling and like well designed, but it's also like you probably couldn't make a better version of Cobra Triangle on the NES if you tried. It's like the fully realized version of that. It's just hardware limitations hit this one pretty bad. What's this song? It's from Space Channel 5. I believe this one's called Invasion? No, yes, Report 4 Invasion. Great soundtrack. You just gotta play Space Channel 5 Part 2. I guess it's not on fucking Steam anymore, though. This world is so unfair. Space Channel 5 Part 2 isn't readily available for people, even though it's a fucking masterpiece. It's so good. So sad. That makes me cry. Alright, people are pretty hyped for Caveman Games. Caveman Games was a little disappointing. And I'm saying that as a guy who was going into it expecting it to be bad. This is like some track and field 2 bullshit. It's like, it's not good. It's like a sports game, and a lot of sports games on the NES, particularly like Olympic events, it's basically like an Olympics game, which is like the worst subgenre of NES game, but themed around cavemen, and it has this sort of like humorous, like The Far Side kind of humor to it. The humor didn't even really hit that hard. Like, it was kind of funny, very unique graphical style for an NES game. It's very like rough and scratchy looking. I guess I appreciate what they were maybe trying to go for, but it wasn't really executed that well. It was get him, guys. We're gonna fucking kill this guy for roasting Caveman Games. You weren't holding the controller, guys. It's so unfun. It's so like, oh, like mash the button until you get to this part of the meter, and then you hold down and mash the button, and then you alternate left and right and fucking hold the controller in your feet. I don't know. It's the comedy aspect of it did not. It was a drop in an ocean of unbearable gameplay. So I don't know. Wasn't really feeling this one. Sorry, guys. It's funny that Caveman Games exists, but it wasn't like. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes dog shit games on the NES can be hilarious and amazing. Like Treasure Island Dizzy, I think, has that status. Where's Waldo has that status, but Caveman Games did not hit for me. 2.5. Yeah. Okay, Elevator Action. Really didn't click with this one. This is a port of an arcade game. It very much feels like a port of an arcade game. It has the same kind of issues and game feel as the arcade ports of like Donkey Kong games and stuff like that, where it's just kind of like, I bet this feels better in the arcade version. Hold on. Down! Fuse! I'm gonna hit my inhaler, because I'm kind of like breathless here. Sorry, you guys get to hear two big sucks. I need to like let it diffuse a little bit. There we go. So I'm just like kind of out of breath. I have a little bit of bronchitis, so every once in a while I need to hit my puff. Two big sucks for Caveman Games, like 5 big booms. Yeah, bro's hitting the Benjamin. My inhaler, my Benjamin, no. That's actually great. Like imagining like Carl Weezer being bullied at school. My Benjamin. He doesn't talk like that. My Benjamin. Oh, I'm gonna blow my nose too. This is like one of the finest video game OSTs ever created. So yeah, Elevator Action, I get the impression somebody said the company that did the port of NES Elevator Action also did the NES Ghosts and Goblins. Totally same exact vibe. I didn't know that, but like I believe you 100%. Yes. So I'm not trying to judge Elevator Action on its own qualities. I'm sure the actual arcade game is pretty good, or at least better than this fucking dog shit, because I hated this. I hated NES Elevator Action. I got really annoyed playing it. It was just no fun. I mean, there's just no fun to be had. It was like either you're riding harmlessly past the enemies or you're fighting them, and the mechanics are awful. The controls are just terrible. And there was something stupid, like there was some Golgo 13 bullshit where you like, there were enemies that like ducked under your bullets and you like couldn't crouch and shoot or something. There was some stupid shit with the controls. I'm sorry, I don't even remember it. Not a very good review, I know, but wouldn't recommend this port of Elevator Action. I will be checking out the arcade version someday. I've been compiling a list of arcade games that I want to play for maybe a few more classic arcade game streams. I know I kind of put the bow on that series, but I always left the door open to the possibility of doing more, and I've been like, every once in a while I'll hear about a arcade game that I hadn't heard of or that I want to check out and add it to the list, so we'll probably do a little bit more of it. Anyway, yeah, Elevator Action, pretty bad, baby, pretty fucking bad. I like a 1.5 for me, really genuinely quite terrible. Oh man, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf, this one, it truly left no impression on me. Did I play this? I actually don't have a picture in my mind's eye of how this game is. I seem to recall it was not even as fun as the NES game just called Golf. I think. God, this the Doom Guy dance is so perfect for this music. There was no fighting. I think when I heard Fighting Golf, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a gimmicky, weird golf game. But it's just a golf game. Like, Like, what? Why is fighting golf a thing that people say? Is fighting golf like a golf competition is called fighting golf, or what? Why did they put the word fighting in the name? Like, does anybody know? I don't know. Bad translation? It could be. I don't know. But anyway, it was a fucking NES golf game, and I don't think I even enjoyed it as much as golf. I'm gonna do a very, very unprofessional thing, and I'm gonna search golf. What did I give golf? I gave it a 2.5. Lee Trevino, you get a 2. Enjoy it. It's probably more than you deserve. I don't know. I always see this game at retro game stores. It's always like dirt cheap, I think. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. Sorry if I'm being unfair to Lee Trevino's fighting golf, but it left zero impression on me. Actually might be the least qualified I've ever been to review a game on this list, because I straight don't remember it. Okay, Sunday Funday: The Ride. This is a bootleg Christian game, which are always at least a little bit funny. It was a pretty dull game. I mean, it was honestly functional. It was better than a lot of, licensed or bootlegged trash on the NES. It had pretty good, like, skateboard game feel, definitely better than fucking Wally Bear and the No Gang. The level design was okay. Like, there were puzzles in the level that you had to solve. The combat didn't feel terrible. It was I think there was just a point where I couldn't figure out how to progress, and I was like, there's nothing actually hooking me into this game. It's just like a semi-competent bootleg game. The funny part about it is that you're a kid going to church. You're like late to church, and you're imagining your teacher like scolding you, I think, or like demanding that it's like you're, I don't know, maybe teacher or maybe like pastor or something. There's like a lady who looks like she's out of like Sesame Street, who's like, you gotta come to church, you gotta be at church on time. And oh man, I gotta book it to church real quick or else God is gonna be super pissed off. But once the humor of that wore off, there was very little keeping me invested here. Although, in all fairness, it was a pretty functional game. I'm sure if I had sat there and like tried to like deliberate on how to get past that one obstacle in like the pier area, I'm sure it's a functional game. Honestly, like of all the like bootleg Christian games, probably one of the better ones. Oh, this one also has, oh my god, the true genius of this game, I just remembered, is that it has a sing-along to a pop Christian rock ballad in it, in like chiptune form with like a sing-along and lyrics. It's so funny. That is what, like, I was like, wasn't there something that just made me cry laughing about this game? And it's the fact that it's like a cross-promotional thing with like a real Christian rock band, and you can sing their like Christian ballad in the game with a sing-along. It's so funny. And wasn't there like another side mode? I think there was, there was like a little mini game. It's honestly like a pretty complete package, and it has the funniest thing ever in it. So like in terms of like shitty bootleg Christian games, honestly pretty good. I don't know. This one like a 5.5. Feels kind of crazy. I think 5 is what I gave like Super Mario Bros. But I don't know. It's funny and competent. It's just nothing enjoyable or special. Okay, Panic Restaurant. This was one. I guess this should say finished, right? It's not a quick look. I went back and finished it. Kind of a unique case where I played it a little bit during an NES slop stream and then went back and finished it, but I just played it all the way through again. Something I noticed about Mina the Hollower and about putting this music in particular as your underlab music, it perfectly syncs up with Mina landing on the ground in the healing pool. It's like... the very beginning, the da 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 da. It's like here's that like timed with the impact of Mina hitting the ground, da 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 da, and it's so satisfying every single time because like you're getting the health back and stuff, and it feels like a deep breath of cold, refreshing air. It works so well, and I'm like, did they intentionally time it like that? But no way, it's just a coincidence. Anyway, I mentioned I did New Game Plus in Mina. I did New Game Plus in Mina. I'm awesome. Even though New Game Plus, there's some people out here going to like plus 15 or whatever. Panic Restaurant. This is a pretty decent yet basic NES game. It's just a platformer. I mean, when you think like pretty like box standard platformer of the NES era. Specifically, there was this kind of trend, I think later on in the NES's life, of Japanese developed, a lot of the NES games are Japanese developed, obviously, but these ones, particularly, when I look at like games exclusive to the Famicom in particular, I see a lot of games where they're kind of like this, where it's like slow-ish platformers with like bigger sprites than you would see in something like Zelda 2 or like the Mario games. Bigger, more detailed, expressive sprites, but also kind of slow, kind of dumbed down gameplay. This is kind of the poster child of that type of like late era Japanese NES game, Famicom game. And it's pretty middle of the road. It kind of, I feel like I'm going to end up giving it a 5.5 as well, even though, like, it's perfectly competent. There was never really a moment in this game where I was like, wow, what a fun game. But it was like, the theming, the food, you're like a chef going through a food-themed world. It's kind of Pizza Tower adjacent in that way. And you get different weapons. You get little, like, Castlevania, like, sub-weapon type things. And you take damage and you lose the sub-weapon, and there's like 4 sub-weapons in the whole game, and there's not really much to it in terms of gameplay. A lot of it is just walking forward and hitting enemies with whatever attack you currently have, which most of the time is just going to be your default like pizza paddle or whatever. But it's not unfun. I don't know, it's just very basic, very, very basic game. With very cute graphics, fine music. I don't remember the music being anything super crazy, but I remember it being, like, not bad. Pretty middle of the road. This is famously one of the most expensive NES games. I'm glad I didn't, like, save up to pay $1,000 to play it, because it's not great. It also has horrifying box art, just worth mentioning, in the English release. But yeah, you have to wonder if a game like this might have inspired Pizza Tower in some way. I don't know. I have no idea, though. It's probably not. I don't know. I feel like McPig would have like said that if that was the case, and maybe he has. I don't know. But definitely some Pizza Tower vibes. Cute. I like how the level select is a menu, and the levels are named after courses. Like, that's very cute, but the actual gameplay itself is pretty dry and pretty unremarkable. So yeah, it's not. I think it is the most expensive NES game. Let me just Google most expensive NES game. It's probably like World Championships, I guess, like Golden World Championships cartridge, or like some prototype, right? But those don't really like count. Mega Man 5? No. What the fuck is this? This is not. Price charting just popped up like a list, but rarest NES games. Yeah, Little Samson is one of them. Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak is really expensive. That's funny. Yeah, Bonk's Adventure is also really expensive. Panic Restaurant. Do they like say how much they go for? Oh, I found a clickbait article. Continue without disabling the 3 greatest words in the English language. Yeah, okay, here we go. So this is from Den of Geek, clickbait article website, but this random website says Super Mario Bros. Test launch version. This was quite recent, right? $100,000 plus, yeah, that's not really what we're thinking here. Nintendo World Championship Gold, $100,000 plus. Stadium events, 10K to 100K, yep. Nintendo Campus Challenge, 1991, 20K to 30K. So yeah, there's a lot of, like, event cartridges. Okay, I would say, by the metrics of, like, what most people would be asking when they say, like, what's the most expensive NES game, I think this is the true answer, is Little Samson. Which apparently is also a super underrated game, and I plan to play it. But I think Little Samson is probably the most expensive. This website says 2K to 17K, and I'm assuming that means, you know, varying condition and the amount of complete in-box and stuff like that. Then Cheetah Men 2, 1,500 to 11K? I don't know, because it's like a prototype, right? Bubble Bath Babes? Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak, which I think I played. And then Panic Restaurant is number 9 on this list, 800 to 6,000. Which I have seen copies of Panic Restaurant in stores, and it is indeed hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Anyway, Mighty Final Fight is also on this list, funnily enough. You guys want to see the Panic Restaurant box art? It's pretty cool. In Japan, it's normal. But in America, it's, oh god. Kinda horrifying. That's a pretty terrible picture of it, but you can get the horror. You understand the despair. Anyway, yeah, it looks like a Goosebumps cover. Oh god, somebody made AI art of Panic Restaurant. Great. Thanks, internet. Love you. Okay. I mean, in Japan, it's like, it looks cute and normal. In the American one, it looks fucking horrendous. Anyway. Panic Restaurant. Oof. Did I recommend? No, probably not. Unless you're super Christian and the year is 1991. And you can't get real video games. Panic Restaurant. I don't know. It's just on the fence. I mean, it's like, if it just had a little more sauce in the gameplay and in the crust, it could have been really a great NES game. But it's just kind of a like, okay, like everything looks and sounds great, but it doesn't really play well. There's nothing exceptional about it. I'll give another 5.5. That's truly what my heart feels. Yeah, I'll play Hebereke, is that how you pronounce that? Euphoria. I have many games that I wish to play. Anyway. Where's Waldo? This is a legendary B game, in my opinion. It's really, really funny. It's like, you couldn't think of, like, a worse game to try to adapt to the NES. It just doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. It's just a broken concept. And the difficulty of this game, it's really funny because it's a really short game, but it's a really hard game, in my opinion. Like, they tried desperately to make it work, and that is commendable, but it just doesn't work. It just literally doesn't work. Right? I also think it's funny of, like, the idea of a guy sitting there looking at Where's Waldo being like, where the fuck is Waldo? And just, like, getting pissed off. But that's what this game does to you. It's so funny. And then you've got that, like, these weird interludes, like the horrific, the dark cave where you have to find, like, creepypasta Waldo, and then you have to launch the spaceship, the rocket ship into space, and you gotta do this, like, time the slot machine so it lands on 3 Waldos, and it's like right at the end of the game, and you're on a timer for this shit, and it's under pressure, and it's like really difficult to actually like line them up properly. And then you've got that shit-ass minigame with the wizard like chasing you around a maze, and you have to like rearrange the maze. Oh, it's such a bad game, but it's like it absolutely crosses that line of being so dog shit and so funny that it becomes incredible. I had a great time playing this on stream. I saw another streamer the other day who was playing Mina the Hollower and had a spreadsheet like I do, and their spreadsheet was way cooler than mine. It was like way more detailed. The reviews, the full reviews were actually in the spreadsheet proper. And they also had separate number scores for if it was like, here's the stream score and here's the game score. And I kind of thought that was a great system of like, here's how fun it was to stream and here's how good I actually think the game is. Personally, rating out of 10, level of enjoyment is how I want to keep it. But I was like, that's pretty neat. That's a neat idea. And that person had also played Planet Daub like very recently. And I was like, based, I need to play Planet Daub. Anyway. There is a website for video games like Letterboxd. It's called Backlogged. Personally, I kind of prefer the spreadsheet, and I've already put so much effort into this spreadsheet that I might as well use it, right? These spreadsheets, there's multiple. But yeah, I got spreadsheet mogged. It was fun. Very entertaining streamer. What was their username? I followed them. I've been throwing a few follows people's way. Oh god. Gaungade? Gaungade. Great spreadsheet. Very commendable. Anyway. The Doom guy is getting tired. Yes. Yeah, if I didn't have the spreadsheet, I would probably use Backlogged, but I don't, so I don't. I do use Letterboxd, though. I got a Letterboxd account recently. And is it, guys, do you think it's couth when you get on a website like that, like Letterboxd or Backlogged? Do you type in, like, every movie you've ever seen and every game you've ever played? Because that's what I did. I sat there and racked my brains for, like, a day thinking, what movies have I seen in my life? And I came up with, like, 400. I was surprised. I was like, there's no way I've seen that many movies. And I was like, oh, you've actually seen, like, 400 movies. You do like the top 20 back, then most going forward for you. I see. I got a great deal of joy trying to remember every single movie I've seen in my life. And I'm sure I didn't get all of them, but there were a bunch where I was like, oh man, yeah, I guess I have seen The Polar Express. I guess I have seen Hugo. I guess I have seen Tomorrowland. They were just like, oh, like Hancock. Like there's a million random movies that I like never think about that I had to sort of dredge up for doing that. But I can also understand the idea of like, here's all my favorites, here's like a bunch of ones that I love, and from now on I'm going to start logging things. Because I think kind of the idea of websites and apps like that is that you're getting a live tracker of when people have seen things, you know. You're getting like an arc of like, here are the movies I've seen recently, rather than just, here are all the movies I've seen ever, you know. But I definitely approached it from a how many movies have I seen ever thing, because I'm a psycho. What's your username on Boxed? I think it's like the Grapefruit, something like that. Let me check. I don't post, I wrote like 2 reviews so far. I definitely don't want to go through and review and star rate every movie I've ever watched. I just logged them. Grapefruit, Grayfruit, all lowercase. And in case you're wondering, you want to hear my insufferable top 4? It's Hausu, Under the Silver Lake, Spirited Away, and Brazil. Yep, we got a Ghibli in there. Yep, I know Hausu is kind of like a poser film bro movie, but I like them. I like them. Okay? Yeah, you can go like see all the like movies that I've watched. Oh, I got a follower. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, Dinkles. I'm assuming that's Dinkles Stream Zone in the chat. Dog D Do. I recognize your names. I'm sorry, I don't recognize H blank. That's funny. Why are you guys on my phone? Get off my phone. This is weird. Anyway. Yeah, Under the Silver Lake I think is a very underrated movie. I don't know. Exercise caution watching it because you may come out of it being like, I think I hate grapefruit now. Anyway. Let's continue with the review of Where's Waldo. Hold on, I keep getting... Oh my god. The notifications. Tasha the Witch liked your review of the Backrooms. Yeah, I have a review for the Backrooms and Army of Darkness. Those are the only movies I've logged reviews for so far. Anyway. Where's Waldo? It's total dog shit, but it's so bad that it wraps back around to being funny. I mean, maybe I should add, like, is the game ironically good? You know? There should be some kind of, like, qualification for that. I know, I think it's Quentin Reviews does a system where if you get ironic enjoyment out of something, you make the number negative, which I think is also a cool system. And maybe sometime I'll go through this list and just, like, make some of the numbers negative. I don't know. But again, the numbers are not supposed to be the important part of this. The important part is the review itself, and you heard it. So, Where's Waldo? I mean, it's really hard to give a number ranking to something like this. Objectively, it's like a 1 out of 10, but it's a really, really funny game. I am gonna give it a 1 out of 10. You know? How about that, for now? It's sloppy, but you know what? I'm a sloppy man. Okay, moving on. Rad Racer 2. Very similar to Rad Racer 1. I would dare say I probably couldn't pick out... Like, if you showed me footage of Rad Racer 1 and 2, I couldn't tell you which is which. And that's fine, because Rad Racer is a fun game. I think I am going to give this an identical score. I'm going to do the thing again. 7.5? Yep, that's what I would have given this in my head. It's a really fun NES racing game, and I think, I guess this kind of goes toward my point of, like, I love being able to actually see what's in front of me in a racing game instead of having a fixed overhead camera perspective. And I think this game is a great example of that. It is a technical feat. There is fantastic music. There's not a lot of music, but there's fantastic music. The graphics are great. It just looks good. It looks really nice on a CRT. The environments are varied and beautiful. And the gameplay itself is fun. It's just fun. It's kind of an outrun type of game. You're just drifting around on the road, dodging other cars, trying to go fast without running out of gas. It's really, really fun. And it's like just challenging enough to be compelling and make you care and not make it just a schlep, you know. It keeps you engaged. So, very cool game. I didn't really notice any improvements in this one over the original, but I didn't play them back to back, so maybe there are some. To me, they're basically interchangeable. Sure, I'd recommend that. It's a good NES game. Okay, The Three Stooges. This is another one that's like pretty funny bad. It is a terrible game. I mean, it's so random and chaotic, it really barely feels like a game. There were times that it was quite difficult to discern what the rules of any given encounter were, even though they tried to, like, describe the rules. There's a million ports of this game for some reason. That's funny. But yeah, certain things, like, there are funny things in this game, contrary to the usual modus operandi of the Three Stooges. All the stuff where they tried to, like, make super realistic looking sprites on the NES just looks uncanny and horrifying. The Ghostbusters 2 thing at the beginning of the game is like a bit of a spark of genius, but it's not fun at all. It is a laugh for a few minutes, but it's a really insubstantial game. Quite frustrating, I think, if you wanted to like actually achieve anything in it, and the whole thing just feels meaningless. It kind of gives me like a not insubstantial amount of like existential dread of like, what am I doing with my life? What is the point of any of this? What is the point of existing? So basically, it's a pretty good adaptation of the Three Stooges. Wouldn't recommend. 3.5. Not even. Like a 2. Gun-Knack. Gun-Knack is actually good. This is actually a good game. There was I was like, oh, you know, it's a shmup. Played a lot of shmups. Played a lot of NES shmups. There's no way it's that good, but it is really, really good. Is that how it's spelled? I think this is not the one that has a dot, right? Because there's one that's Gun.Smoke. That's another NES game. I believe it is Gun-Knack. Gun space NAC. I think that's how it's spelled. It's not like KNACK. Game unbelievably notable. Nasty ass graphics. Somebody said the acrostics bit makes me feel like a English teacher, and I can't stop thinking about that. People were posting their own acrostics in the comments section of the Gimmick Part 2 stream, and some of them were really, really good. Somebody did Water Temple, and that one cracked me up. Hold on, let me just go to that comments section real quick. Yeah, this is Water Temple. This one cracked me up. Wet architecture truly encourages rage. Those English men provide lyrical ease. That one goes so hard. I love those English men provide lyrical ease. That's just, oh, chef's kiss. And a lot of them were really good. I'm not gonna read them all out right now. But okay, recent one though. This was posted just a little while ago. Much overtly pointless violence inside stages. Pipelines of minions towards hazards infinitely. All the words are capitalized. That spells out Mopviz Pompthi. What the fuck? I'm not to single this chat member out, but Mopviz Pompthi? Mopviz Pompthi. It's like, you've got the spirit, and you've got the cadence. You're so close, but it does need to spell something. It's awesome, though. Like, I kind of love it. It's a subversive acrostic poem that doesn't actually correspond to a word. 200 IQ move. I was like, this is kind of genius. Anyway. What was I doing? All right, reviews. Right. Gun-Knack. Anyway, Gun-Knack. This is a fun shmup. I mean, it was just a really solid shmup. I think it scratches the itch of like a ton of bullets on screen, a ton of enemies on screen, really powerful feeling attacks. It kind of reached that same problem that a lot of NES shmups do, where it was like, oh, I'm doing great, it's a compelling challenge, I'm enjoying this, oh, I died in stage 6, oh, well, the game's fucking over, because I can't progress, because I can't get power-ups, because it took away all my power-ups in stage 6, which is the hardest stage so far. So it was kind of like, I did drop it instantly when I game overed, basically, but what I played was very, very fun, and I think if this was a game you dedicated a little bit of time to, this could be like a super fucking solid shmup for the SNES. Really great music, really great visuals, It doesn't feel... There's something about the visual style of this game. It doesn't look super unique or distinctive or anything, but it breaks the mold just a little bit of all those generic fucking shmups that you see on the NES. There's so many that just feel soulless, and Gun-Nac is ensouled and good. It was actually like a pretty great shmup. I was kind of shocked at how good it was. So yes, would recommend Gun-Nac, a hidden gem, I would be willing to call it. It's no gimmick. Bro said SNES. Did I really say SNES instead of NES? Oh no. They should invent save states that you're only allowed to make once per 90 minutes for saveless games. That's so interesting. Like, here's like a resource, and you like consume the resource to make a save state. There's got to be games that have done that. And then you can't make one for another while, you know. You know, all people won't shut the fuck up about like you can't be a fan of a game if you haven't played it on Twitter. It's such a huge like raging fire of like a dog pile debate lately, just for like what feels like the last month. And what I keep thinking about is like there's so many factors that go into, because like at the core of that debate is this idea that like people aren't engaging with games properly. Basically. And I kind of get that, but there's also like 10 billion different ways of like fucking up interacting with a game. There's so many variables at play when interacting with a game that watching a playthrough of Danganronpa is like a pretty low offense, honestly. And it's like if you're policing like, oh, I don't want somebody watching a let's play of a visual novel instead of playing it themselves, it's like you might as well also police like, do they use save states? Do they use emulators? Do they play the original of a game? Do they play, you know, if it's a sequel game, are they playing the games that preceded it? You know, everybody who plays a new Final Fantasy game, have they played every previous Final Fantasy game? Like, these are things that, to my mind, would be equally valid to police with such enthusiasm as people police something like watching a playthrough of, like, Danganronpa, or even, like, Persona, which also has, you know, plenty of gameplay in Persona, but, like, like that whole thing is just insane to me. I just, infamous Mr. Gimmick LARPer defends himself. I was kind of trying to think, because I was like, why do I feel so passionate about this? I'm like, am I a LARPer? And it's like, I don't necessarily think so. I tried to think about like moments I have LARPed something, but usually it's like when there have been times where I have a more passive relationship with a piece of media. Like, I'll watch the kill count video about a horror movie that I've never seen, and I'll go, oh, you know, I feel like I have an appreciation for this movie even though I haven't actually seen it. I guess I wouldn't necessarily go around being like, I'm a fan of that movie, but that's just like semantics. I don't know. Yeah, I love the kill count. I love that channel. They're really great. When I first watched Dead Meat a little bit, I was like, normie channel, this is for normies, and then I was kind of like, oh wait, but I've continued watching it because they actually make good videos. So I guess I would LARP, like, I guess I feel like I have an appreciation for like Jordan Peele as a director, even though I literally have not seen anything he has made. But I guess I wouldn't call myself a fan, but also like, so much of this debate is just about like the word fan, and that's so weird because it's like, it's basically just an argument about how avidly you need to like something and how much you need to engage with something in order to consider yourself a fan. That's just so strange. And I also think, like, here's the thing, right, about my like specific examples. I would love to watch all of Jordan Peele's movies. I kind of intend to. There's just so many things in the world. There's so many movies to watch. There's so many games to play that, like, yeah, I haven't done it yet. But how many of these people out here who are watching playthroughs are going to one day play the game. You know, there's plenty of people who maybe just aren't even into video games very much. And maybe they're like, oh, you know, I'm watching a playthrough of a game that I find interesting. Maybe somebody is like, oh, you know, I like anime, Persona looks cool, but I don't really like video games, so I'll watch a playthrough of it. Maybe that's just the first step that they're taking in their journey to becoming a gamer and breaking through, you know, that wall, you know, getting through the gate. I don't know. It's just such a stupid thing to like get that upset about. And it's like even the most extreme examples of like LARPing, I'm putting on my Nuance hat, yeah. It's like even the most extreme possible example of like LARPing, I'm imagining like, I feel like the quintessential example is like popular hot girl at school in high school wearing like a Nirvana t-shirt, and you're like, oh, you like Nirvana? And she's like, oh, ew, what is that, some kind of yucky band or something? It's like, even that, I feel like I've reached a level of security with the things that I like and emotional maturity that like that wouldn't piss me off. Or like, I guess for me the example would be like Pink Floyd, right? But this whole thing, I do think people are like dogpiling on Twitter. It's bad. It's like dogpiles happen all the time over stupid shit on Twitter, but this whole LARP thing, it's like, fuck off, guys. I don't know, man. There was a really funny thing that happened. There was somebody who made a very like sort of pompous, self-important, you know, hitting enter every couple of sentences, series, like a rant on Twitter about how Cruelty Squad is one of the most celebrated indie games of all time, but only 30% of players have even beaten the first level. What's up with that? And then the creator of Cruelty Squad retweeted them saying, yeah, it's because I didn't add achievements for like 3 years after the game came out. It was like, whoops, that kind of like took the wind out of their sails a little bit. Did you see the Undertale LARP tweet? I don't think I did. Probably, though. That shit was really funny, though. It's like, oops, nope, the developer of Cruelty Squad is just so fucking lazy that there were just entire features of the game that were missing on release. So all the stats are messed up for those achievements, yeah. God, can you guys stop following my Letterboxd? I said that there's one notification. Oh, my phone, oh, my phone's going crazy! How many followers do I have now? I got 5 followers. Fuck yeah. Oh wait, no, more than that. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, one of them's a pro? What does that even mean? Cinema Red Wizard is a pro. What does that mean? Oh. Wait, I may have just discovered the joy of looking at someone's profile and looking at their top 4 and laughing to myself. Just really crazy contrast here. Uncut Gems, Inland Empire, movies I know things about, but I haven't seen them. Dancer in the Dark, which I've never heard of or seen. And then the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. That's awesome. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Guys, I have 10 followers. Oh boy. Anyway. Oh, 11. We got another one. Thanks, guys. You're really boosting my ego here. I'm going beast mode. The fucking yeah, the Matt Johnson interview. Yeah. That shit is crazy. That shit's so iconic. Matt Johnson was like being interviewed, and it was like looking at negative reviews for BlackBerry, his like docu-pic, and going to their Letterboxd and judging their top 4s. And there's like an iconic clip of him like opening someone's top 4 and just going like, oh, and just like laughing incredulously, and it's been used as like a reaction image now for like when somebody has bad taste. There was also it was like Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll were being interviewed, and they were trying to make like a collaborative top 4, and it was like, oh, you know, here's a couple of things like Street Life, the Seinfeld documentary or whatever, And then Jay suggests The Truman Show, and Matt goes, "Oh, The Truman Show, that movie is awful," and just starts shit-talking it openly. And Jay McCarroll's like, "Oh." And there were so many people that were like, "I like The Truman Show." It's funny. Matt Johnson does seem like a very opinionated guy, so he seems like kind of insufferable to hang out with, but it was funny as hell. It was so funny. I like The Truman Show. I am definitely a Truman Show enjoyer. It's the least annoying Jim Carrey's ever been. He was only a little annoying. I think it's a great movie. It's a little ham-fisted in terms of like the symbolism going on, but I think it's a great movie. It's no Hausu though. It's no Hundreds of Beavers. Frick Shamer is now following you. Okay, I feel like I've been distracted from the reviews this stream more than other review streams. Oh. Okay. Anyway. Mighty Bomb Jack. This was an interesting game. Definitely a game with cool mechanics. I kind of don't remember it super clearly. The manual for this game was some of the most confusing shit I have ever read in my life. It was very, very funny. It was Bomb Jack Horseman. It's a platformer. It's on NSO. I feel like this is an iconic NSO game. I feel like it's like by default just on the like front page of NES NSO. Maybe I'm crazy. I always associate it with the NSO screen. It's a platformer where you're like collecting things and defeating enemies. You don't actually lay bombs. It's just like Boomerang Kid. You collect bombs. Maybe you lay bombs later in the game, but I think for the most part you just pick them up, which is funny. There is this whole system. There's a very convoluted and weird system in this game of like upgrades, and I can't really remember the particulars about it. It's something about like the upgrades let you like jump off of things to break them. You can already do that, but there's like these treasure chests that are like tough, and you need to be able to jump off of them with a power-up to be able to get into them, or like maybe hit them from the side with the power-up or something. And it's like the power-up goes away and diminishes in level the more you jump. And your jumps are extremely high. They go like all the way up to the top of the screen. And you can hit the jump button again to make your character start traveling down in the air. And you can also stall in the air. Mighty Bomb Jack is what Mighty Jill Off is based off of. And if you've ever played Super Meat Boy, as I have, and played that character, it's a very similar kind of air stall thing going on in this game. And there's this whole system where your power-ups that allow you to like access more secure treasure boxes diminish the more times you press the A button. So the fact that like there are these actions that you can do in midair that are quite let's say costly, in like air quotes, in terms of the amount of A presses you're going to be doing. Like you have this crazy maneuverability, but a lot of the game I think is kind of about routing and carefully planning your jumps and your maneuvers so that you're minimizing the amount that you're pressing the A button. It's basically an A button challenge. It's a very bizarre game. None of this really came together into something enjoyable for me. The level design I felt was so barren and just thoughtless. But I couldn't shake the feeling that like maybe if you like really hook into this game's like jive, that there's probably something like pretty compelling here. Or maybe even just this system of like the A presses diminish your power-ups, so the goal of the game is to like route it efficiently so that you're maximizing the amount of time you get the power-ups. And then there's like those special rooms with the bombs, and you need to pick them up in a certain order, and it's like the order of the bombs mixed with like how you're planning out your routing to avoid the enemies and minimize your A presses. It's pretty crazy. I think these mechanics could be made into something a little more compelling. But as it stood, it was mostly just funny how, like, obtuse and weird the game's systems were, and how terrible the menu, or the manual translation was. So, wouldn't recommend. I would recommend somebody make this game, but better. Because it does have cool ideas. Give it like a 3. 3.5. Okay, the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. This game is bullshit. Sometimes people say, like, oh, this is like a pretty underrated NES game. And no, it's bad. It's a really boring, really poorly optimized, really choppy, shitty NES platformer, man. It's really bad. It is not a hidden gem. It is not. It doesn't really even have anything. Like, sometimes you'll be playing a bad licensed game and you'll be like, oh, at least there's like this charming pixel art of a beloved character, but even that, I really felt no joy playing this. It really felt quite cheap and terrible. There was really nothing I liked about it. I don't know, it's like the controls were functional. But like, I feel like I was going crazy because, like, the frame rate that this game runs at is so choppy and terrible. It was like nauseating to look at. 1.5. Terrible. Just, what? Why do people... I know it's like, you know, you can do a lot worse on the NES, but why do people say this is good? I don't know. It's not like a common thing to say, oh, it's a hidden gem, but I saw it like quite a few times to the point where I was like, oh, this must be at least decent. And then I played it and it just wasn't. Okay, Cheetah Men 2. This is probably like as bad as it gets on the NES. It's really quite terrible. Cheetah Men is famously the final game of Action 52. The company that made Action 52 was kind of trying to make Cheetah Men a thing in the same vein as something like Thundercats or He-Man. I think there was a short-lived, maybe there's like a pilot for a TV show or something. I know we covered this when I streamed this, but I've forgotten it all already. But Cheetah Men 2 is a prototype. It's not even really a released game, but it is truly one of the worst things I've ever played. I think it really genuinely might be the worst game on this entire list, which is kind of crazy. I mean, whoa, Danganronpa jump scare. There's a lot of, there's a few 1 out of 10s on here. The Pepsi Man, this is not PlayStation Pepsi Man. That's the arcade roulette game Pepsi Man. We've played some pretty shitty games on here. Way of Life Free Edition, absolutely. That is like one of the worst demos of all time. Space Pugs, I mean, this one was just like an unfinished... I hate to be mean to this one because this was sent in by a viewer, and it was like, here's my unfinished prototype of like the first level of like a student project game that I'm making. There really just wasn't much to talk about. We got some ones on here. Joshua, yep. Ghostbusters, yep. I don't know, I still think Cheetah Men 2 is worse than all of these. It's really, really terrible. I mean, it's like unbearable. It's literally unbeatable. There's levels that just crash when you reach them. But try as I might, I couldn't even get to the end of the first level. It was truly terrible, but like I say, it's a broken prototype, so it probably doesn't even deserve a number ranking. It would probably just get an NA on another day. But right now, I'm going to give it a 1 and a no. It is truly, truly bad. It's like, even the basics of just like jumping around, like that's all that there is in the game, is jumping around and shooting your shitty projectile. Even that feels bad. What's a 0? We don't have those. I don't do those. I don't go below 1. Sort of an arbitrary rule. But, I don't know, just feels weird giving something a 0.5 or a 0. A 0 would be NA, not a video game. I don't know. Anyway, Kid Icarus. This one, I take this with a grain of salt because I didn't get very far in this game, and I've heard people say, like, once you get past... Like, when you... After a couple hours, Kid Icarus, like, gets good, apparently. But I really hated this. It was It was so miserable. It was a very classic, like when people talk about like, oh, like shitty old games, always like sending you back to the very beginning of sending it back to the beginning of the level or beginning of the game at the slightest, getting hit by one enemy, oh, you got to restart the whole game. That's kind of how this game felt, even though I think it has a password system or something like that. It was like, oh my god, I'm losing so much progress every time I make even the tiniest mistake. The enemy AI was just so obnoxious. The constantly respawning hordes of flying enemies that can transcend the actual layout of the level. What the fuck were they thinking? I don't know what the fuck that is. That's crazy to me. And just like all the enemies, I just got so annoyed fighting them. I didn't like, there were rooms where I walked in and I was like, there's nothing in here. Am I supposed to know what to do with this? Maybe the manual would have helped. I might give this a a reevaluation at some point in the future, but I really struggled to get into it, and I tried. Yeah, I got filtered. I probably did. But, I'm not a LARPer. I played it. You saw me play it. That's the thing, is like in all the like, sometimes I'll like go like white knight people who are getting like dogpiled on for like perceived LARPing offenses on Twitter, and I'm just waiting for the day somebody tries to like call me a LARPer and I can be like, actually, I've documented my gameplay of like hundreds of video games for the last 10 years. Here's a link to a spreadsheet. I don't know if I would even actually say that if accused, but I do have proof. I have the receipts that I'm not a LARPer. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Kid Icarus Uprising. I've got a 3DS now. It's definitely on my radar. But first, I'm gonna have to play Kid Icarus 2 on the Game Boy. Kid Icarus 1, it didn't really click with me. The music, that's a good song, but that's like, I don't know. I like the structure of like, you're climbing a tall tower and it has like screen wrap. Like, that's an interesting structure. And I'm sure there's a bunch about this game that I just didn't click with, didn't put in the time necessary to like enjoy it, but it really felt like ass. Seriously, like a 2, sorry. And, again, take it with a grain of salt. Personal level of enjoyment, right? This is a really good stream. You're a really good viewer. Thank you. PBS. Guys, I guess I'll spoil one of the characters I added to the Tomodachi Island, because they might not actually make it to the next stream of Tomodachi Life. Like, Bella might delete this character before we make it that far. I added Franklin, the turtle from Franklin, the educational PBS show about a turtle. I added Franklin. Anyway, Boulder Dash. This is... I don't know if this is the first iteration of like this type of game, but this is when I played this, I was like, oh, it's like Joshua, which I believe we saw I gave a 1 out of 10. But it's like the type of game where you're like pushing. It's kind of weird, because it's like these games behave as though there are physics pulling everything downward, but there's also this kind of implied isometric angle. I'm never quite sure what the perspective in games like this is, but this is the type of shit that you play on like a TI-80 like calculator. It's like a calculator game, where you're moving around trying to collect gems and not get crushed by boulders. And it's like you can move directly under a boulder, but once you move away from it and leave an empty space, it'll fall downward or south. So not ever really been my favorite type of game. Whoa, I just realized I pulled a skin tag off of my body casually while we were streaming, and the hole is like bleeding. But it feels great having that skin tag gone. Yeah, this game, it had cute graphics. It kind of reminded me visually of Fire and Ice, which is a very respectable NES game. I don't really jive with this type of game very much. It's kind of a nothing genre for me, honestly. Like, I didn't really find the levels to be that, like, creative or enjoyable. It just kind of felt like, we just kind of, like, placed some obstacles around and get the gems. It didn't really feel like a puzzle game, per se. It was just kind of like, go around and do the busy work and be careful and don't get lazy or else you're just gonna get crushed. And I got bored and I got lazy and I got crushed and I stopped playing. This type of game, that's fucked up, dude. What do you want me to call this? Is there a name for this type of game? Because this is absolutely a type of game. To, like, walk around and walk under a boulder and then you walk away and the boulder falls. Is there a name for this genre? Because it absolutely is like a niche subgenre of game. It's kind of, I mean, it's similar to a, what do they call those? A Sokoban, what are those called? The, like, box pushing games. Mr. Do? I just mean in the same sense as, like, a Sokoban. I'm not saying Boulder Dash is a Sokoban, but it is kind of similar. Anyway. Not a big fan of this game, just the gameplay itself. The presentation is fine. It's pretty simple game. The graphics were cute. Didn't really feel much playing it. Like a 4. No. Maybe like a 3.5, actually. Okay, RC Pro-Am 1 and 2. I'll just say right away that RC Pro-Am 2 is probably the better package, but this is another rad racer kind of situation where I don't discern a ton of difference between the two games. I also think these kind of have the same issues as Cobra Triangle does. It is a racing game with a top-down isometric perspective, which means probably if you remember, like, the layout of the courses, I think there's a mini-map. Like, if you're really paying attention to that mini-map and, like, the arrows that tell you which way to go might be manageable, but it's so much more awkward as over, like, a racing system than just having the camera behind, you know, whatever's driving. And I know that's hard. It's hard to do on the NES, obviously. These are more supposed to be like your racing toy cars, but doesn't really work for me. I don't really like it too much. Hold on, I have to, like, cough. Doesn't really work for me too much. It's very cute. Again, just like this in Cobra Triangle, it's Rare Coin It, functioning adequately, making good sprites and decent, you know, game feel and all that, and good music for what music there is. But not, I don't really have, I mean, I don't think I would recommend either of these. If you're gonna play one of them, play RC Pro-Am 2. What's that ominous loading circle indicate, I wonder? I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong. I think, by the way, the other day we were having some internet outages. I think the cable was, like, bad. I kind of, like, jiggled the cable in the back of my PC and it stopped happening. And it hasn't happened since, so... What numbers are we gonna give these? They're not terrible. I would honestly maybe give this one like a 5.5 and maybe this one a 5. They're not terrible games by any means. They're just, they're very of their time, and I think just like Cobra Triangle, I'm not typically the kind of guy who's like, oh, the limitations of the system really hurt this one. But the limitations of the system really hurt this one, I think. Wally Bear and the No Gang. This is basically just Sunday Funday the Ride if it was dog shit and was about drugs. It's about, like, it's a say no to drugs game, which is funny. I believe it is a bootleg. I don't think it's an official game. Really the only enjoyment that there is to be had with this game is just the dialogue in between stages, where characters go, doing drugs isn't okay. I had a friend who had a little baggie, and just, there's all sorts of little, like, tonal dissonance moments with the fact that it's like a cutesy cartoon bear game, but also a say no to drugs game that has rather serious topics involved. The gameplay was extremely uncompelling. Sunday Funday at least had some stuff going on, but Wally Bear, terrible. It was just a really terrible game. You can't name a favorite game. At most, you can do a top 5 in no order. Yeah, I mean, totally. When people ask me what my favorite game is, I usually just say Portal, because it's a game that's like very dear to me and I think is very like, it's like the most impactful game, you know, thinking about like Jerma was saying with like impactful games. I think Portal is like the most impactful game for me, but it is hard to just say like, oh yeah, this is my favorite game. Like that's a kind of crazy question to ask a game enthusiast, right? Same thing with like asking a movie enthusiast, like what's your favorite movie? Like they might have an answer, but I think a lot of enthusiasts of a thing are going to struggle to think of a straight favorite. Okay. Wally Bear and the No Gang, pretty bad. It's not even really that funny. Like a 2. It's got a little bit of comedy to it, but that's it. I don't know, giving Where's Waldo a 1 feels so wrong in retrospect, but the asterisk saves it, I think. Okay, River City Ransom. This is a beat 'em up on the NES. Not a big fan of beat 'em ups. Not going to go into the whole spiel. They just never really clicked with me too much. Not dissimilar to Mighty Final Fight. Is it called Mighty Final Fight? Yeah. Oh god, Three Stooges jump scare. This is a very celebrated beat 'em up on the NES. I think a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for this one. This is part of... Guys, what is the series? The, like, loose series that this is part of? There's, like, other games that use, like, the same character designs and sprites or something. I didn't know about that before playing this, and I don't think I've played any other ones except maybe, like, Dodgeball? Kunio-kun, yeah. It's part of the Kunio-kun series, which is, like, a very loose series or franchise. It was a fun beat-em-up, though. I think I put this on a similar level to Mighty Final Fight, as, like, it's a pretty good beat-em-up, especially for the NES. I kind of think it's, like, on the NES with beat-em-ups, you kind of have to simplify them a bit, because you're just usually not going to be working with quite as many buttons or, like, directional, the inputs that you can do on an NES just don't match up to a lot of arcade cabinets, so, you kind of got to simplify the systems. Maybe you got to put in some weird control scheme elements. But I think I kind of like that in a beat-em-up. It's almost like beat-em-ups on the NES. I still don't really like them very much, but I like when they're very simple. The rules are very simple, and, I think the chibi characters in this game work better than the ones in Mighty Final Fight as well. Because they kind of have their own style going on. It almost kind of has a style of, like an old slice of life anime. I don't know, like Crayon Shin-chan or some shit like that. I don't know, am I talking out of my ass here? It's kind of got that like old anime vibe to it. So not a terrible game by any means. Definitely not my type of game. I don't think I'm gonna like recommend it. But I mean, it's like cool. The cool thing about this game is that it's open world. You can kind of just like go anywhere, which I think is a really interesting aspect to a beat 'em up that a lot of beat 'em ups don't have. A lot of beat 'em ups are aggressively linear. Maybe they have like some branching paths here or there, but River City Ransom, it was like you can walk all over the place. It kind of almost feels like a beat 'em up like RPG or something, because you're going around to stores and getting items that like improve your stats and give you health back. And I feel like if you were into beat 'em ups and you had an NES at the time, this game probably slapped like hard. For me in 2026, my personal tastes, but I can appreciate what it is. Real life is already an open world beat 'em up. Yeah, and America is I like Matt Johnson said this is not a original Matt Johnson joke, but there was some video they were doing and they were in America and he's like, yeah, it's a PvP enabled zone, dude. It's crazy. Okay, sorry. Drinking and resting. By golly, I think we'll be able to at least get caught up with this list. Maybe I won't talk about, like, these today. We could, though, theoretically. Bella should be coming home any moment now. I'm kind of... for work... Oh, I think I literally just heard the door open. I was like, oh, she's like a little late. I think we should be able to crank these out, though, and that's going to be super satisfying, because that means I can just rest easy and wait a nice long time until the next review stream, which is a shame, because it is going to mean Majora's Mask and Gimmick 2 and Layton v. Phoenix Wright are going to be sitting here for a while, but oh well. Hey, honey. How you doing? Wave? She's doing wave. I was just as you came in the door, the front door, I was like, she's late, where did she go? And then it was like, just on time, actually. Good to see you, honey. I talked to Mom about wedding stuff. She's very happy with where we're at on it. Yippee. Oh, big stretch.
Tell her about the cigar thing where we're getting everyone.
I did tell her that we're getting everyone cigars, yeah, including the baby. Nah, that's just a little joke, of course, chat. The baby will get a cigarillo, obviously. Anyway, Trip World DX. Let's keep cracking on here. No, I'm wearing underwear. I'm not naked. It's warm out, okay? I'm trying to maintain a low body temperature. No, I don't have webcam. I have him.
He's cool too.
He likes to dance. Currently, he's dancing to the investigation theme from Danganronpa 1, which works pretty well, I think. There's a baby? Yeah, it's not our baby. That's not webcam? Somebody has an emote of that exact thing? What? That's crazy. That's a good emote. I think I got this from, like, Decino? The YouTuber Decino? Not Despacito. No. Why is Mina ongoing? Oh, I just haven't updated it. I meant to update it earlier, but I was in the wrong account. It's just I moved the games over to this list. It's all manual. It's whenever I update this review spreadsheet, I just have to manually go to the game list and copy paste stuff over. So it just wasn't updated. Yeah, he's the yellow thumbnail Doom guy. I like Decino a lot. His channel's great. When Bobby Prince passed, I was thinking about Decino because Decino used those Doom sound fonts to make original music. Decino's kind of like Pan and Koek with Mario 64, where he's super detailed dissections of classic Doom games, and he even makes, like, he doesn't even play Doom music in the background. He made his own music using the Doom sound fonts that sounds awesome and plays it in the background of his videos. Super commendable. He's another one like Scruffy, where it's like, why even try as a YouTuber when there's guys doing it this good? You know? Okay. Trip World DX. This is a spiritual successor to Gimmick on the NES. This is a Game Boy game, and this is the Switch port of it's like a remaster, or like an enhanced port of the Game Boy game that comes with a colored version, which is kind of crazy. Like, I don't know exactly how that works under the hood from a programming perspective, making a color version of a game for an ancient, a now ancient system like the Game Boy. But it's a cool game. This is a very tricky game to talk about, because it's like, I really, really like it, like putting it in my petri dish and inspecting it under a microscope, but playing it really does not instill very much joy or feeling in me at all. I've said this in the past, it's like after you play Gimmick, you have two divergent paths. There's, in terms of like spiritual successors to Gimmick, there's Gimmick 2, which has none of the like interesting world design and sort of game design philosophy of the original game, but does have the star throwing mechanic, interesting platforming with the star throwing mechanic. Then you have Trip World, which has all the like sort of interesting world design, interesting creatures, non-hostile creatures that have unique behaviors that appear for very short periods of time. It's got that in spades, but the gameplay is so basic. I mean, it's like Panic Restaurant levels of basic, especially considering half of the creatures in this game don't even pose a threat to you and don't even try to harm you. So it's just like, a lot of this game just feels like walking through a zoo and then doing a boss fight. And like the boss fights aren't even that good because the combat mechanics are the tiniest, shittiest kick you've ever seen in your life, and a very sparse collection of upgrades that make the game actually like kind of fun, but only for like 30 seconds at a time because they're timed power-ups. The one truly fun part of this game was the part where you get the long legs power up and you shoot the fireball, and the fireball like launches you backwards with great speed, so you can like actually have some fun with an interesting like platforming mechanic in that section. But guess what? That section lasts like 30 seconds, and then you insta-kill the boss at the end of that area, and then it's over, and you're like, oh. Otherwise, it just felt like there was a ton of potential to this game, and there's like the graphics and the animation and the enemy behaviors and the music, all stellar, but there's just no core of like an interesting, compelling video game at the center that I think would like keep you coming back, you know? What I would really love for this game is if like there were a bunch of little interesting like puzzles and interactions that you could have with these creatures to like demonstrate your understanding of their abilities. I know the new Yoshi game is kind of like that, and apparently Rain World is very much like that as well. I will be playing Rain World at some point. Every time I make this comment, people say, play Rain World. I will play Rain World. But there's just not... it's just kind of insubstantial as an actual video game, which is a shame because there's so much work and effort and artistry and talent and passion that clearly went into this game. But it's not, it's just not very exciting at its core. You guys should have been typing this whole time, by the way. It would have been funny. Let's do... No, don't do it now. It's too late. It's too late. Really tough to say if I recommend this one or not. Buying the DX version, paying like real money for it and playing through it, you're gonna be like, and like the color is like fine, it doesn't really add too much to the game. And the special features were pretty barren. There was a lot of just like, oh, we found some design documents and like scanned them in. They're untranslated. Please enjoy reading this Japanese text. It's like, okay. There wasn't a ton of like special features for this whole like special edition thing, so maybe just emulate this one if you're curious, because it is an interesting game. Like it's worth talking about at the very least, and I think, you know, you could make an incredible game inspired by this game, because it really is. There's nothing like it. It's so unique, and that's so cool. But I don't know if I would actually recommend you buy Trip World DX specifically. Give it like a 7, you know, because like that world design stuff is so cool and I admire it so much, and the idea of like non-hostile enemies and stuff, I don't know, it's maybe a little ahead of its time, this kind of concept. Maybe it's not the sort of thing that fits necessarily comfortably into a platformer. You know, maybe a different genre of game would be best for this kind of concept, but again, play Rain World. I don't know. Okay. Mr. Gimmick 2, Shadow's Revenge. This is our first of 2 Gimmick ROM hacks. This one definitely is the shittier of the 2. This one was funny. The fact that there are just random... I mean, there's a Monster Party enemy in here. There's just randomly a whole level themed around Star Wars, which is funny. But for the most part, it's kind of like, it seems like more effort went into customizing the graphics than making interesting, compelling levels. There's also a bunch of stuff in this that's just kind of broken, especially like as the levels get harder, it felt like the brokenness got more like enunciated. Maybe that was just like a thing in my perception, you know, because the game was getting more difficult. But there was like a bunch of random jank bullshit where it would be like, oh, you walked across a background tile that just makes you throw your star even though you didn't let go of the button. You know, there's just like no star charge zones. There's platforms that you fall through. There's enemies where it feels like their hitboxes are messed up. Or like their graphics, their sprites don't correspond directly to their hitboxes. Stuff like that just really mounted up and bothered me. And the level design wasn't terribly compelling in the first place, but it did have that fun kind of like games repainted charm at the very least, which was something. There is something very curious going on with this game and Dark Gimmick. The last level of both of these ROM hacks share a disturbing number of similarities, to the point where I have to wonder if one copied the other, or if they both copied some original source that I'm not familiar with. But there is, if you look at the last levels of Mr. Gimmick 2 Shadow's Revenge and Dark Gimmick, they are shockingly similar. Like, specific room layouts that are just nothing like how they are in the original game are the exact same in these two ROM hacks. So, I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but it's kind of interesting. Maybe I should, like, dig into that. But Gimmick 2, it's still kind of fun. I think the thing that I want the most out of a Gimmick ROM hack is just making more use of the mechanics that were introduced in the original game, and less about seeing like funny reskins of enemies. So this one like doesn't really hit that hard for me. It's not really like that great, but it still has the Gimmick sauce at its core, which carries it to being a 6, despite all its problems. Yeah, I haven't completed Gimmick 2, the real Gimmick 2, but that will be reviewed someday. Okay, Majora's Mask, we're skipping this one because it's ongoing. Although I love Majora's Mask, I think it has a lot of the same problems that Ocarina does. It fixes some of those problems, has some new problems of its own. Great, memorable gameplay mechanic. Phenomenal story, just easily the best story in any Zelda game. Sorry. I haven't played Skyward Sword, I guess, and like a couple others, so maybe I'm wrong because Skyward Sword's story better, but Majora's Mask story is so good. Anyway, Connections. Okay, this is a review of Connections, the New York Times game. It's a fun game. I like Connections. I would like to stream more Connections. And Joopy is actually working on a Connections main channel video right now. So expect more in the future. I had so much fun playing it. And it was just like kind of a random like, let's play Connections. But it is a game kind of in the same vein as like Wordle or something. A little game that you do, a little puzzle that you do every day. And there's a new one every day, but you can also play. There are ways to play the old levels, so to speak. And it's just, you get this grid, I think it's like a 4x4 grid, and you're sorting everything into groups of 4 that are connected by some kind of common theme or attribute. And the groups, they can vary a lot. It can be like objects that are red, and then it can also be like state capital names with the second to last letter removed, you know. They can be wordplay, they can be literal, it kind of goes all over the place. It's fun playing Connections and sort of hooking into the juju of the writer of Connections, even though there may be times where you're like, what the fuck is chess pie? And shit like that. Like, I don't know. It's an imperfect game concept because trivia games like this rely so hard on your knowledge of the world. So it's like a perfectly worldly individual who just knows everything about everything. I feel like Connections would be very easy. But a lot of it is kind of like sometimes there'll be gaps in your knowledge and you have to make assumptions or you have to make an educated guess. And those can still be fun moments, even though it's like a little bit of friction. And yes, the writer of this is very English. You will never convince me that an American writes this. I would normally not, British people are allowed to make games, but it's for the fucking New York Times, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but New York is in America. So having questions about British culture and British, mindset things is a little weird. But, yeah, I think there's no one writer, maybe. Somebody commented, there is one writer and one creator, but I find it hard to believe they just make a new puzzle every day, and they've been doing it for 1,000 days. There's no way. Anyway. Yeah, we like to call it the Old York Times. I love Connections. It's a fun game. Ranking it alongside proper video games, it feels stupid, but honestly, Connections is like a 9 out of 10 for me. I love playing it. Would recommend. It's just a fun little casual puzzle to play. Yeah, it's kind of a similar joy as doing acrostics. Okay. Mina the Hollower. Gosh, I guess I have to review it. We're not ongoing. This is my GOTY so far. It's a great game. To anybody who doesn't know, it is a throwback visually to the Legend of Zelda games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, such as Link's Awakening and the Oracle games. Gameplay-wise, it's like a top-down Zelda combined with a little bit of Bloodborne and a little bit of Castlevania. It's got platforming, it's got sub-weapons, it's got dodging, it's got, difficult boss fights. You got a bunch of different weapons you can choose from. You get a bunch of different trinkets that can alter your attributes and make play the game differently. It is a great game. I like it a lot. I've heard there's been a lot of people saying stuff about the difficulty of the game. A lot of people saying it's too hard, and yet other people saying it's too easy. I have heard people say specifically that they got some overpowered thing at a certain point in the game and just kind of breezed through the rest of the game, or you realize that the missed sub-weapon makes it so that, it's pretty difficult to die if you have a certain amount of, resources. So I've been hearing some people say, there's unbalanced aspects of the game that make it too easy to, steamroll the later half. I didn't really have that experience. For me, it was pretty, enjoyably difficult without ever becoming frustrating for me. I guess there were a few parts that were frustrating, but I kind of like having friction in a game like this, having it be somewhat difficult. So I thought it was pretty well balanced. I never figured out that the mist jar can just be spammed over and over again, but after having learned that, yes, it is quite OP, and there are builds in this game that are quite OP. I saw that streamer that I was talking about, who spreadsheet mocked me. They were playing and with this build of the trinket. They had the jewel syringe that makes you able to shoot essentially infinite sidearms, combined with the parasol item, which I always kind of thought was one of the shittiest sub-weapons, but combined with the increased throwing strength trinket. It throw strength and distance. So this person was just spawning infinite umbrellas and throwing them across the screen at enemies, and I was like, wait, this is the best ranged option in the game, is this weird parasol cheese build. It was so cool. But anyway, damn, this item is too strong. You cannot use it if you want. No. Yeah, I kind of get, game balance is a thing. You gotta be careful saying things like that, because you're getting dangerously close to you control the buttons you press. And I think at a certain point, it's yeah, devs should consider balance. Like, I think there is something weird to me about, like, if I'm playing a game and I discover something that's super OP, and it's just kind of, like, nagging at me, I just, like, know it's there, you know? And it's, like, the option, like, just don't use it is just kind of like, well, like, it's still gonna bug me. And, like, it's possible to design things so that there aren't, you know, overpowered systems. I don't know. But I get what you're saying too, chat member. I personally did not have any one thing like break the game, which was nice. But I mean, this is just totally up my alley, my exact type of game. Yacht Club Games has now proven that Shovel Knight was not a 4-hit wonder. They actually know what the fuck they're doing. Immaculate pixel art, great music. I mean, Jake Kaufman just absolutely slaughtered it on the soundtrack. I have been listening to it a lot in my spare time, which is a distinction that most chiptunes do not earn. The soundtrack to this game is a lot more kind of layered and atmospheric. I feel like Jake Kaufman has progressed as an artist over time in terms of chiptune composing, lots of great, interesting, kind of like growling bass lines in the music, lots of different genres of music sort of represented too, in a weird way. Like, I like the sort of funky, laid-back music of the Bayou area, for instance. Really phenomenal OST. The gameplay is great. I love the progression through the world. I'm kind of in two minds about the way that it's like not a real Metroidvania. Like, the amount of actual ability checks is basically nothing. Like, there's almost none. There are some parts of the game, there's like one part of the game where there's like a boss that's only accessible with the fishing rod, and that's for one boss. And then there are some gaps. There's like 3 parts of the game where it's like, oh, here's a gap where you can only cross this gap if you have a certain number of, if you have a certain mobility, you know, option. And there's a bunch of different mobility options that can be combined together in order to achieve this goal. But it's like, there's really just like that one big pit to like the super boss, and then there's that one pit to that treasure chest, like right underneath Osex, and it's like, literally, is there another skill check, like ability check like that actually just gates off your ability to access a thing without certain items? Because there's other gaps in the game, but you can circumnavigate those. You can just go around them. So it's like, the amount of actual ability checks of like, you can only go through here if you have this thing, is like basically nothing. Which I kind of, that's cool, but I also am kind of worried. I'm going to do a randomizer on this at a certain point in the future. And I'm kind of worried that the randomizer is just going to feel kind of homogenous, because it's just like, okay, maybe I'm using a weapon and like trinkets that I wouldn't maybe normally use at the beginning of the game, but it's like, it's not going to have that same compelling, like, puzzle-like quality that like real Metroidvanias have. So it's kind of like a blessing and a curse having the game formatted like that. Because yes, you can go anywhere at any time, basically, but also, I don't know. Do you guys get what I mean? It's like, I like a certain amount of, I guess, valence involved. Remember that term, valence, with Metroidvanias? I like when there are hard ability checks to a certain degree, so especially, and you know, they get the most compelling when it's like, here's a hard ability check, but there are other ways of circumnavigating it. There's other ways of like getting around it, you know, with other tricks, and you know, I don't know. It doesn't quite have the most Metroidvania sauce, even though when I play it, I feel like I'm playing a Metroidvania, but it doesn't literally have the defining aspects of a Metroidvania. I don't know. Anyway, it's a great game. That's like my one gripe with it, though, is like, I kind of would have appreciated it if it was a little bit more proper Metroidvania. And like, Yacht Club is they're so good at what they do, I feel like they could have come up with ways to have interesting Metroidvania progression, but maybe that's just me. My other only, just getting all the negatives out of the way, because mostly I just have praise for this game. Certain, like, achievement descriptions and item descriptions are just, like, phrased wrong. Like, the extra spark thing, the proto spark, I think is what it's called, the trinket that's like, oh, it revives you when you die, and then it says resets upon death. Total lie. It does reset upon death, but it also resets when you go to a underlab. That seems kind of important to just leave that out. It also refreshes when you refresh your vials. Like, what? Why did they leave that out? Like, I didn't put on that trinket for a while because I kind of figured it wasn't as good as it actually is, because I took the description at a literal, like, face value. And this is just a tiny thing, but, like, achievement hunting in this game, there's a bunch of other little things like that. Where it's like, can you fucking say what you mean? Like, there was an achievement, let me actually bring up the precise phrasing of this, and this is such a nitpick, but it's like, I think this is something that would be so easily fixable, which is why it kind of, like, ticks me off. Pitfall Parasol. Knock multiple enemies into a pit using a single deflector parasol. I was so confused on this achievement for such a long time, because it fails to mention that it has to be with the initial burst of the deflector parasol. Because deflector parasol, you can put it down on the ground next to a pit, and then any enemy that tries to jump over that pit and come hit you is going to bounce off the parasol and get knocked into the pit. And so I did that like a bunch of times in a bunch of different places, and I was like, why is this trinket not... Like, why is this achievement not triggering? I'm doing exactly what they're saying. I am using one deflector parasol to knock multiple enemies into a pit. What's going wrong? But it's like, oh, arbitrarily, you have to use the initial burst of the parasol. And then there were a couple others where I was just kind of like, you could probably write this better. Like, Haunting Reach. Guys, Reach. This one says, hit a foe from 25 tiles away using the gnawing ghosts. So, like, what the fuck does that fucking mean? In the end, I learned that, because in my mind, hit a foe from 25 tiles away means I am 25 tiles away from the enemy, and the ghost is attacking them. But actually, 25 tiles away is almost precisely the limit of when the gnawing ghost despawns from the screen. I had to learn this so painfully, so painstakingly over the course of, like, experimenting and trying to get this achievement before just giving up and Googling it. It turns out what you can do is shoot a gnawing ghost 25 tiles away from an enemy, and then follow the ghost. So really, effectively, it's just a super preemptive shot of the gnawing ghosts, but you're standing right next to the enemy when they're getting hit by the actual attack. So I was stuck on that for so long, and it's like, can't you phrase this? Like, it just feels like a quick fix. Just, like, type the fucking achievement differently. Like, what do you mean hit a foe from 25 tiles away using the gnawing ghosts? Like, there's gotta be a better way to phrase that, or make the achievement. I don't know. And I could go on, but those are just a couple examples. And this is something that I noticed just throughout this game. There are just some descriptions where I'm like, can't you, like, say what it actually is instead of, like, kind of what it is? I don't know. A little quibble I have with this game, especially going into, like, the super play aspect of it. Now, however, this game accounts for so much, like, super play shit, and it's mind-blowing. Built-in randomizer features, built-in, like, speedrun features. There's all the modifiers. This is another thing. Everybody got pissed off on Twitter about the modifiers, and now it's like, yeah, oh, were you getting pissed off about nothing? Oh, were you? Wow, what a surprise. Like, I don't know, talking to a straw man there real quick, but the modifiers are awesome. There's so many different ways to play the game. If there are things about the game that you find unfair or frustrating, you can change them. I'm not really the kind of guy who messes with those sorts of things, especially on, like, a first playthrough, but, like, I saw someone streaming this game and they had the modifier on that was, like, put a checkpoint before every major boss. And it's like, hey, you know, I don't really, here's another like LARP. No, like I don't really have a problem with somebody playing a game like that. Like it is going to affect how they interact with it, but like, what's the problem? Like they probably wouldn't play the game if it didn't have this feature. You know, good enough, right? Like, I think it's cool that they have those sorts of things. And of course, there's also all sorts of modifiers for challenge runs. New Game Plus was brutal, man. It was, like, I knew the enemy, like, HP and damage was going to be scaled up, but the thing that I did not anticipate is they delete, like, 80% of the checkpoints. So it's like each area has, like, one underlab in it, which is fucked for some of the later areas. Septemberg kicked my ass on New Game Plus. Because there's only, in that whole stretch, it's like there's, I think literally in all of Septemberg, maybe there's an underlab at the very end, but I think the literal only one, the one at the very beginning of Septemberg, not even there. You have to go all the way back to Kindlewood. The only functional underlab in New Game Plus, I think in all of Septemberg, the area, is the one that the guy follows you into. So you can't even like change your trinkets and shit, because he follows you in there and makes it so you can't interact with anything. You can only heal and grab your vials. So that shit is fucked. It was really messed up. But it was a compelling challenge, and there's a bunch of other ways that you can do challenge runs too. I mean, there's like hundreds of different ways, surely. So really cool. I love to see, like, not only an excellent game from a sort of casual perspective, it works perfectly if you're just like casually blowing through it, but also the super play, like, besides my tiny little quibbles about like descriptions of things, really incredible how much they have provided for people who are into super play. And I think this is the exact kind of game that encourages super play and that like people who are into that sort of thing are attracted to. So I'm glad that that stuff is just there for people who want it. Really, really great game. Can't recommend enough. It's probably not for everyone. Bella tried to play it and she kind of bounced off it. She was like, the controls just piss me off. I just don't, it just feels weird. I don't know. Definitely a D-pad game. Play this one on the D-pad. Do not use the joystick. That's one way to make it feel extra slippery. But a really, really incredible game. We are about to see a bunch of games come out. Deltarune Chapter 5 is going to come out. The new Rhythm Heaven's going to come out. I think there's a few others that I'm probably forgetting. Lots of interesting releases coming up here. They're going to have to be damn good to dethrone this game as my game of the year for 2026. It is incredible. I would say, like, my only real criticisms are the things I talked about before, and also just some of the level gimmicks didn't really hit for me. Like the lightning in Septemberg. We sure about that one, folks? That one didn't really compel me. It's like you have a little bit of fun hitting enemies with the lightning, and then it's kind of like, oh, this is just platforming, but sometimes you have to stand still. I don't know. Maybe just put on the lightning trinket for that part. There were some parts, I feel like this is a game where, like, you're almost guaranteed to have a part that, like, pisses you off while playing through it, just by its, like, very nature. But also, that's part of enjoyable friction, and it, I think it is balanced out to the point where it did not discourage me from playing the game, and it made victories feel extremely satisfying. So, there were moments of, like, fuck this in the game here and there, you know, like the double mimic room and stuff like that. But then even stuff like that felt like a sort of like theory crafting, almost like ImSim moment, where it's like, okay, how are you gonna cheese these guys? Because I know you're not just fighting them, but maybe you do just fight them. I don't know. It's great. I'll give it a 9.5. That just feels right to me. Perfect 10, not quite, but a really excellent game. A high 9.5. Okay, Dark Gimmick. I played the broken version of this because I was playing a Famicom ROM on a NES, so the music was broken and the visuals were a little glitched out. But Dark Gimmick kind of slaps. I was saying during the Mr. Gimmick 2 Shadow's Revenge review, that Dark Gimmick is pretty great, and it is pretty great. It is just, it doesn't, I don't think, have any visual changes besides like palettes and maybe a couple small custom things here and there. The word dark in the title. It really barely changed anything graphically. I think there were maybe even some unused graphics that got used in this, which is kind of interesting. But it's all about the gameplay. This game is like coming off the heels of my Mr. Gimmick obsession. Dark Gimmick was perfect because it was like, here's a bunch of like crazy star tricks that you need to do. And especially if you want to see the secret ending, which I did eventually end up doing off stream, you really have to master the star mechanic. And it's like they don't quite push it to the level where it feels like a true Kaizo hack. Like it's not, you're not doing like frame perfect bullshit, but it is really going to test your ability to use the star in a platforming, capacity. And I think there were a lot of just interesting scenarios where it's just like, here's a puzzle that's crafted around your star ability, and it's just you and your head figuring it out. I also think they used mechanics from, this is exactly how I would want mechanics from Gimmick used. They used them in interesting new ways. I'm thinking about random examples that come to mind. The frog in the 5th level that you need to, like, you don't need to, I found a way to get around this, but you can use their little hopping behavior to jump off of his head to reach another area. That felt very deliberate. Little things like that where I was like, Mr. Gimmick, I love the flightiness of it and the way that the developers would be like, oh, we're going to develop, this unique behavior for this enemy and then use it like 2 times in the whole game. I like that quality of Mr. Gimmick. It was also nice seeing Dark Gimmick take those things and use them just a little bit more and be like, here's a little creative moment with this thing that wasn't in the original game. I really appreciated that. I genuinely think this is probably one of the best ROM hacks I've ever played. It's really underrated. Nobody's ever going to talk about this after now, but it's a shame because Dark Gimmick kind of slaps. It's like, I would say, a really great follow-up. It's like the secret third most beautiful path. It's like, push aside Trip World, push aside Gimmick 2, and play Dark Gimmick. Do yourself a favor. So I'd probably give this like an 8.5. It's really solid, doesn't really introduce anything crazy, but what it does with the Gimmick mechanics is so great. And it was a blast playing through it as like a Gimmick super fan. Yeah, it's like the Lost levels, but good. Oh my god, and then Professor Layton and we haven't even done that one, so I can't even review it yet. So I guess I might as well go down here and just get a few more little things. Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. I might just delete from this list. We played it for a little bit and then stopped, and I don't even know shit about Homestar Runner. I'm not reviewing that right now. We didn't finish it, but it's also a short game, but it's also just long enough that we don't want to, like, replay the whole thing. Worse than Connections. Yeah, don't think too hard about the numbers, okay? Are there any perfect 10s? There are. Yeah. Yeah, we played the Strong Bad game on PS5, which is crazy. It's also on the Wii. Yes, you can... they sort... Yeah, view more cell actions. Fuck you. Wait, what? Wait, where's sort range? Am I crazy? Maybe it's because I didn't, like, highlight it. Let's look at all the 10s. This is fun to do sometimes. Sort range. So here's all the 1s. Fucking Mario Bros. But Super Mario Bros? No. Wait, I only did the numbers. No, I don't want smart chips. Hold on, am I crazy? Why is this like... What the fuck? Did they, like, update Google Sheets? It doesn't, like, work the same. Wait, I'm losing my mind, because you used to be able to just come down here and say sort range by clicking on the column. What the fuck? Sort sheet Z to A. Where are you seeing that? It's not in fucking smart chips. I don't see that. Mouse over the letter at the top of the column. This is all brand new, by the way. You've never had to do this. You've absolutely always been able to just right-click on the column, go, go... There used to be an option. It's like more cell actions, sort range. I swear that's been a thing for years. But that did work. Okay, so we've got, you know, here's all the lowest ones. Power Punch 2 truly is a dog shit game. Way of Life Free Edition, Power Punch 2, I think, what are some other contestants for, like, the absolute worst? Street Fighter 2, Tiger Electronics, yep. Might have been a little too cruel to Street Fighter 2010. I've heard people say that game's actually good. Color a Dinosaur, truly terrible. Cheetah Men 2, truly terrible. And then all the way up here, we've got the perfect 10s. There are not many. And again, the number is just my level of enjoyment. We have Pikmin, Punch-Out on the Wii, Portal, Katamari Damacy Reroll, Cuphead, Pizza Tower, Mosalina, Animal Well, Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, and Tunic. And then we've also got a hefty collection of 9.5s that I won't, like, read through. It's fun to do this, though. Part of the reason I made this spreadsheet is so I could sort it like this, you know. And then we got a bunch of NA, too. No. Recommend no. That's the only NA that I gave a recommendation column for. Interesting. But yeah, I would not recommend you play those. It's true. How is Bloodborne not a 10 out of 10? What, did I give it a 9.5? You ever heard of the Chalice Dungeons? It's the Chalice Dungeons. It's mostly the Chalice Dungeons. That's why it's not a perfect 10 for me. It's close, though. Okay. I think it's all undone. Okay. Real quick, we're just gonna do, these are ones, we're at the section of the spreadsheet of games that for whatever reason I played off stream. I guess somebody was asking about that earlier. I guess I played another Crab's Treasure off stream. That was just something where I was kind of like, I don't want to commit a full playthrough on stream to this. But I just wanted to, and sometimes I just want to hang out and play a game with Bella, you know? So, anyway. First off, though, Once Upon a Katamari. This was a disappointment for me. I didn't have high hopes. But Katamari is one of those series where I kind of think it's just on life support, and they just keep, like, defibrillating it every once in a while. Nothing meaningful has happened with this franchise since We Heart Katamari, and it's clear that whenever they make a new Katamari game, they're just copying We Heart Katamari's homework. Like, they just take things from We Heart Katamari and don't even seem to understand what made them work in that game or in the previous game, and just sort of like shove them into a new game with some sort of loose connecting, gimmick between all the different levels. This one being, it's historical. It's supposed to be like, oh, we're going back through history and rolling up Katamari in historical settings, which could have been fun, but it just felt pretty, like, passionless and, like, soulless. And it's kind of like, I've done this before. There's not really, like, We Love Katamari is just such a great game and took this Katamari concept in, like, every possible enjoyable direction that you could possibly take it. And every attempt to expand the concept after that has just been either spinning your wheels, just redoing the same kind of thing that was done in We Love Katamari, or overstepping and making something that just doesn't even capture the appeal of Katamari in the first place. So I was pretty, like, bummed with this game. I was like, there's some levels that are kind of fun, you know, there's some kind of good music. Even the soundtrack didn't slap as much. it's like, at least with Katamari games, you know, you can usually be pretty guaranteed that you're going to get a great soundtrack out of that. But even then, like, I don't know, didn't they have like a fucking like VTuber or whatever sing in one of the songs? Of course, that doesn't taint the entire soundtrack with VTuber poop or whatever, but the soundtrack was even less than like something like Katamari Forever, which is a Katamari game that I don't even really like that much, but that game had a great soundtrack, you know, a lot of bangers in there, but I'm struggling to recall bangers from Once Upon a Katamari. It leaned more in the direction of like chaotic, silly music rather than like the greatest song you've ever heard in your life, which is more the genre of the first couple of games. So, yeah, I was pretty disappointed. Like, overall, if you've never played a Katamari game, you will probably be very charmed by this game. If you have had the fortune of playing the first couple of games in the series, playing this is going to feel like reheating 3-day-old leftovers. It's just so... It's just, I don't know, why make more of these? I just don't really understand. Especially when you've got great ports of the old ones in the form of the Reroll mini-series. So I don't think I would recommend, but like, it's a functional game. It just didn't bring me a lot of joy. It was just kind of like, I've been here before. In particular, I was blown away that the final level of this game, like, the final levels of Katamari games are like what the series is famous for. And I feel like those are like the incredible, like, mind-blowing, romp at the end of each Katamari game is like the most memorable part of it. But the last level of Once Upon a Katamari was so literally just the last level of We Love Katamari. And it was like, what are you doing? I feel like, yes, of course, We Love Katamari and Katamari Damacy, it's pretty hard to top their like final sets of levels, but you could just do something different, man. Like, when it's like, oh, you roll up all the stars on the outside of the circle in the sky, and then you, like, roll it all into the thing. And I was like, this is exactly like how it happened in We Love Katamari. Like, you just couldn't come up with a single original idea for, like, a cool final level? I just don't know. It was so disappointing to me. I tried Damacy Reroll once, and it didn't click with me then. Yeah, give it another try. It's the controls. You gotta get the hang of the controls. They're weird, and you have to accept that, like, there's a certain clunkiness to them, but they're so satisfying once you kind of get the rhythm of the motion down, and then you can just, like, mow down, just plow through, huge rows of objects. It feels so good. Katamari Damacy is such a great game. But I can definitely see, like, playing it for a bit and being like, what the fuck is this, and stopping. There's also, it's all about, like, getting the sense for, like, I'm going towards the item that is just big enough for me to collect it, or just small enough for me to collect it, but also so big that it will significantly add to the size of my Katamari. That's the secret technique. That's the thing that's the actual, like, skill that you need to, like, get better at, right? Anyway. Yeah, go through all the different time periods in one level, right? That's kind of what I was thinking, chat member, was like, couldn't you, like, stitch together all the different, my son, my prince, we fell into the time machine and we bumped it and everything's gone crazy and all the time periods have collapsed together. I was thinking a similar thing while playing the game. I was like, why do I feel like I can come up with a better finale for this game than the game can, and with the resources and history that this series has? I don't know, man. I also felt, okay, before we move on, the collection algorithm, or however this game determines collection of items, is kind of broken. It judges if you can accept an item into your Katamari or not based on its height. This is like a confirmed thing. Apparently this is a quirk of the physics system of some of the mobile Katamari games, I guess. I don't know why the fuck they wouldn't use the incredibly solid base of the Reroll engine for this game, but whatever, what do I know? It leads to a bunch of annoying, frustrating moments where it's like, here's a ladder that's like the same height as my ball and extremely thin. In one of the old games, you would absolutely be able to pick that up. But in this game, it's too tall, and you like ricochet super hard off of these long objects that by all rights you should be able to pick up. It was so bizarre that they went with the worst physics system. Like, if you play this game, it literally feels worse to control, and the item pick collection feels worse than the reroll games. It's like, what the fuck are they smoking? Anyway, another Crab's Treasure. This was a cute, it's sort of, I would consider this a great parody game. It is a Souls-like parody that is underwater themed. You play as a little hermit crab, and the armor that you wear is different crab shells. I found this quite enjoyable. I haven't played a ton of like true Souls-likes outside of the FromSoft catalog, but I would consider this like a pretty hard, you know, it conforms to all of the tropes of the Souls-like. You know, it's got difficult encounters. It's the 3D over-the-shoulder, you know, third-person combat with like a light and a heavy attack. A lot of the systems have been sort of changed and streamlined. I did like a lot of the ways that the systems were changed and streamlined for this game. I kind of, you know, Dark Souls as like an RPG series sometimes can get a little overwhelming with the amount of like equipment bloat that you have and like the amount of stats and things to keep track of. This game kind of shaved off a little bit of like the unnecessary stuff, and I actually really liked that, and I thought this game had good game feel. It had cool bosses, a great soundtrack, shockingly good, kind of like, I don't know, the music sounded very like modern techno in a way, but it's actually very good OST. Great graphics on this game. I think it's quite a beautiful game, actually. Kind of getting like Finding Nemo vibes from the visuals, just that sort of beautiful underwater sprawling, you know, coral reefs and stuff like that. Lots of cute ideas. I quite liked this game, actually. It didn't electrify me necessarily, but I did come out of it thinking like that was a pretty great game. Passed the time inoffensively. It was the layout of the levels was good. I think the developers of this game have a good grasp of how to use items to direct your attention and direct you through these kind of maze-like areas. I think my biggest complaints would be some of the enemies were just obnoxious. And I know having obnoxious enemies in a Souls-like is all but a tradition at this point. There were just some that, like, some of those, like, archer enemies where their shots just seem to seek right onto you and do so much damage. There were just some enemy types where I was kind of like, oh, fuck off, you know, did they really have to be this crazy? I don't know. It was a good game, though. I mean, it was a fun Souls-like. I think I didn't exactly fully jive with this game's, like, sense of humor. There's some parts of the humor that are very, like, kind of dad humor, but then it was, like, by the end of the game, it was almost like the game's plot is just, like, straight taking itself seriously, even though it's kind of been a farce up until this point. And I was like, is it supposed to be like the joke is that the game is now taking itself seriously, or is the game just taking itself seriously now? I was kind of unclear on that. It was kind of almost like, this is a weird comparison, but Oriole Wings of Hope, I felt also had this problem where it was almost like they couldn't resist making the story like serious by the end, and it kind of led to some tonal dissonance. But I do think it's like the sense of humor carried throughout most of the game. It was just at the end, it was almost, here's another comparison, kind of a Conker's Bad Fur Day moment, where I was like, why was that ending so, like, sobering in such a otherwise, like, farcical comedic game? It was just kind of funny. But I thought there were many moments in this game where I was just kind of like, oh, that's a Souls trope, and they're making a funny joke about it. I laughed, you know. I approve of a lot of the sense of the humor and tone in this game. It was good. It was a good time. Nothing like truly exceptional. I think the voice acting also kind of was like, I didn't need this game to have voice acting, and the voice acting was very like, they're trying their hardest, but it still wasn't. I could have done without it, frankly. But a great game. I think it was a pretty great game, all things considered. So yeah, I guess I would recommend it. Kind of sorry I didn't like play it on stream. Oops. What? I dragged the empty thing onto there. So would recommend. This is a classic 8.5. I mean, it just did a lot of things well. Didn't do anything mind-blowingly well. And with that, folks, I am caught up. I know there's a few gaps here, but those are all for games that are ongoing, right? Ongoing. Ongoing. Strong bad game, technically. Guys, we did it. We fucking did it. I kind of thought like I was getting sidetracked so much this stream that I was gonna end up not catching up, but we are caught up, and now I can just like put this series on the back burner again until such time as I feel it is appropriate to do some more. Pretty cool shit. I know I had fun. Hope you guys did too. I guess I'm gonna sign off now. Let's see what's going on in the world of Twitch, shall we? Clap, now he plays Mugenics, clap. Now the streamer plays Mugenics, clap. Mike just started a stream called Trying Not to Pee My Pants, and it has the scared emoji. Cool. Let's see, is anybody doing Mina the Hollower? I followed a few people. There's a few people I just went around like watching play Mina the Hollower, and I followed a few people. None of them are playing right now, though. It was Howard of the Abyss, by the way. Shoutouts to Howard of the Abyss. We were chatting, and he said he watched like one of my VODs or something. It's funny. Keep scrolling S. Canadian Gamer. Ratting and stuff. Mina the Hollower into maybe Mario Kart Wii. That's crazy. That's a crazy combo. Well, maybe we go raid this person. Yeah, Jabroni Mike's just gonna be going, balls. And thanks to the, the Doom guy for dancing this whole time, even when the music was slow and somber. He really, he's gonna have to rest his arms real good after this. But he never broke a sweat. He never skipped a beat. And it's all for you. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoy. It looks like this guy's on September. Who knows if this is even a first playthrough. Oh, they got the poop slime trinket, dragging the slugging around. That's awesome. All right, be nice, be fun with this person we're raiding, and have a lovely day. Go play, what was the best game that I rated today? Dark Gimmick. Go play Mina the Hollower. Go play Connections. Go play Gun Knack. And maybe another Crab's Treasure or some shit. Alright, see y'all later.